What's going on, Drinking Buddies? Brand new podcast coming right at you. But you know what we gotta do first? We gotta talk about those things that generate a little revenue for the show, bring a little the cheddar in. You know how it is. First and foremost, we are brought to you by the Patreon at patreon.com/MattSlayer. The Patreon is home to the uncensored versions, the video versions a week early, the random musings of me, of other things I throw up there. You get the audio versions ad free, and most importantly, you just support the show. So come join our Patreon community today at patreon.com/MattSlayer. You're looking for other ways to support the show? I got another easy one for you. Cover your shame in our wares at anwd.net/merch. In addition to awesome t-shirts and wearables, there's some art prints, there's all sorts of stuff. New shirt designs coming soon. So, buy some merch. anwd.net/merch. Last, but certainly not least, the easiest way to support this podcast, the absolute easiest way to support this podcast, is twofold. One, share social media. Retweet stuff. Share stuff. Tell your friends. Just signal boost. It's really that easy. If you're enjoying the show, tell people about what you enjoy. You hate the show, tell people about what you hate. Just tell people. And the other way, also, so easy. Go to youtube.com/nowwedrink and hit subscribe. Feed the algorithm. Feed the machine. Really that easy. Let's get on with this episode. My guest this week is the woman I have dubbed the 4-star general of indie porn. The face of the indie porn movement, Miss Cami Strella. This episode gets real silly. I mean, you can tell by the 2.5 hour runtime that this is a silly episode. We dive into Cami's history pre-biz a little bit. We talk about what drives her in the industry. But this was a very fun episode. So, sit back, relax, pop a cold one, and enjoy, Drinking Buddies.
When aliens come to take over, they look at us like we're out of our minds now. We're gonna galactic makeover, and now we're thinking that they just might be right. I cannot wait for this whole world to end. I'm gonna break out the bottle with my friends. I think they'll tell the best stories when we're gone.
Cami, how the fuck are you?
Cheers, by the way.
I got pour. You're already like, I'm in this bottle, motherfucker.
I was trying to be polite and not take a drink because I feel like it's rude to be a guest of someone and then take a drink. So cheers.
Oh, see, I don't think that's fucking rude. That's why I got you the bottle while I was still
Oh my
like
God.
setting up cameras and shit. Like, no, drink. It's fine.
Cheers.
I had a drink with dinner, so.
Oh, fair.
And I will drink quite a bit during the course of this.
Same. I love a good sparkling rosé. You killed it. Thank you.
Nice.
But I've been great. So I'm in LA for the week.
Awesome.
I've been in LA for a week and a half now. So I come out here basically every month or so now. No, I come here every 2 weeks. Hence why I'm now moving out here.
Okay, I was about to say, like, why the fuck aren't you moving out here at this point?
Like, I thought you lived here.
No, I knew you didn't live here. But I wasn't about to, like, dox you for the internet, be like, oh yeah, she doesn't live here. But if you're going to be here every fucking 2 weeks, like, yeah, why the fuck don't you live here?
Correct, yeah. Well, I'm at least going to get a secondary house out here for sure because I am here so often. So I'm just tired. I'm tired. My body is tired. My pussy is tired. My, like, brain is tired. Imagine shooting every single day, sometimes 2 scenes a day, sometimes 3 scenes a day for 10 days in a row.
Hard pass.
Hard pass. And bless my partner for being able to keep up with that. Like,
right?
It is a rough life. So and I want to have a semblance of a life. And all my friends are out here, so yeah.
Makes sense to fucking be here.
Exactly. I can hang out with you more often now.
Oh.
Bother you.
How are you going to bother me?
I don't know.
You just got to find out.
I will just steal your booze.
That's not a bother. That was purchased for you.
Oh, thank you.
Like, there's a reason it wasn't open until you got here. Like, I
fair enough.
purchased for you. And
Thank
you're not.
you. Oh, thank you. Wow, you did your research.
I've done this once or twice.
I could see. I could tell.
Your publicist was like, Sparkling. I'm like, yeah, it's rosé. I'm
How
getting.
did he know that?
He didn't. He didn't tell me rosé. He just told me sparkling wine.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like,
and you guessed rosé.
and I went rosé. Like,
Excellent choice. I love the pink.
I don't mean to stereotype you, but
Mm-hmm.
when I get bubbling wine for performers, it's generally rosé.
I'm a young performer.
Yeah,
Not that young. I feel like an old hag. It's funny because for like I'm sure people that are listening and maybe have not seen me or heard of me before, I have been in the adult industry for many years now in like very different capacities, I guess. I've done it all. I've done it all. But I've only been in porn for the last 3 years independently, and like literally as of this week I'm considering doing pro scenes, but it's like I don't know, it's this really weird era of people kind of coming from already being successful in the independent space and then now wanting to do pro scenes simply for the exposure and for longevity, right? So from a marketing standpoint, it's great, but it's like I don't necessarily need or want necessarily the money per scene because it's a lot lower than I thought it was.
Oh, it's way
I
low.
was like, oh wow, how much for an anal scene? Oh god, I don't know about that.
Especially for someone like you who allegedly makes 6 figures a month on OF.
I wouldn't say exactly how many within that 6 figures, but yes.
Yeah, allegedly. I'm not throwing your like.
Correct. Oh, I never give like exact number figures because I never want. And I feel like legally, I feel like my lawyers probably told me that too. He was like, "Cam, you don't like say exact numbers." But
Definitely don't go on. No, definitely don't go on record and say exact numbers because God damn, the IRS audits you one day and like, oh, but you said on this podcast 5 years ago that you were making $251,678.58. We saw you report 51 cents.
Correct. I'm like, well, I have a good accountant at least, so that's part of it. And it's like this whole thing I think too that I always get online. It's like especially with sex workers, it's like hope the IRS like I don't know. It's like this idea that like we don't pay taxes. I'm like, do you know how do you think we get approved for houses or keep a bank account open or like literally or invest in anything? You think we're just like getting all our money on the table? Like there's a paper trail of this. Like what do you think?
Yeah, but there's also a long history of performers not paying their taxes in timely fashion.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, in a timely fashion, yeah, and then they get fucked in the end and then have to pay a shit ton of money.
I was literally at a party with a very high-end performer, OnlyFans performer at this point, who she was just casually talking about at the party. She's like, yeah, I had to hand the IRS $1 million check because I hadn't paid taxes in like 5 years.
Excuse me?
Yeah. And like this was just a casual party conversation. I'm just like, ma'am, we live very different lives.
Yeah. $1 million. I don't know about that.
I'm like, yo, you should have filmed that shit for content. And like the IRS fucked me and put it as like on the
Have
hover.
a guy dressed up as like Uncle Sam, and then he fucks you with a dildo in the shape of somehow like some kind of money with like money wrapped in it or something. There's got to be a dildo out there somewhere.
Or he just fucks you and then takes the check and goes.
It's like, and then robs you at the end. Oh my god.
Like, this is for your back taxes. This is for the forward taxes.
What a crazy kink that must be. There's got to be a niche for that somewhere.
Definitely. Definitely.
Like guys that hate sex workers? I don't know. It's like,
Well, there's sadly a lot of those.
correct. Yes.
I don't get it.
Very incel. Like it's so interesting. Like I don't want to bring up names of people, of men in the general space. One starts with an A. Well, they both start with an A. Andrew Tate, Aiden Ross. Do you know who they are?
I don't.
Really?
Yep.
You don't know who Andrew Tate is?
Oh, that dude. Oh,
Oh
yeah.
God, yeah.
Sorry, I have limited brain space, so it's just like trying to
If
push.
it's useless knowledge, don't make room for it. That's
Right.
valid. I think that's very valid. But it's just so interesting because I used to stream on Twitch for a bit. I like just tried it out and it just wasn't for me because it felt so performative. I really hate doing things that are performative. For example, like being a Twitch streamer, specifically a hot tub Twitch streamer, where you have to literally put, if you want to make it, you got to basically put a fucking inflatable hot tub in your living room and just like basically not twerk because you'll get banned, but just kind of it's like what in my earlier days I used to cam on Chatterbait. Love Chatterbait. I would literally make maybe $2 a day. I'm not even kidding you.
Oh, I know.
It is a rough life. Like it's a very like the curve of camming. It's like camming. It's like this, and it goes and it shoots up eventually.
It's worse than OF. Like,
oh yeah.
you like everyone I know who was into camming. It's like it became a 9 to 5. Like
Yeah.
I gotta clock in for my streams because this is when my audience is expecting me.
That's exactly what Twitch streaming was like too, and it felt like I was like, ew, gross, I have a job again. I literally like quit school and quit everything so I could not have a job, and now I feel like I have a job again, and I'm getting not really much money, not really much exposure. I'm literally just getting hate rated by incels in my chat on Twitch, and I'm like, this is pointless. This felt so fruitless to me. I don't play video games. Well, now I do actually, but I didn't at the time play video games. And it just felt so performative to be like, for several hours at a time during the day, be like, oh, haha, hi, I'm Cami, and like pretending like you're liking, engaging with the chat. I'm like, these people hate me. Like, why am I engaging with this? And that's what I think it also kind of bleeds into my work style too. And I think that's why I've been so hesitant to do pro scenes for so long, because it feels, and I'm sure it's changed a lot in the last few years in terms of it being like very script heavy. I'm sure that's still there's still scripts obviously, but I'm
Oh, definitely.
yeah. It's like moan on this, moan after this.
No.
Okay, oh, it's not.
No, so like the way the scripts are like dialogue scripted, but I have never actually seen a script that it like scripts out the actual sex.
Okay, cool.
And the reason for that is because you got so many performers who won't do this thing, won't do that thing. So if it's some fucking writer in Montreal, because if it's a Mind Geek product, for example,
Right,
they can't.
Yeah.
They don't have the performer in mind when they write the script.
Right.
So to script out the sex, be like, well, all that's going out the fucking window because this person doesn't do this A, B, or C.
Right.
And it's
that's
100% their right to not do A, B, or C.
correct. Oh, that's kind of nice to know. Yeah, but I was so scared to do anything performative. Like, I don't even do custom videos because I don't want like a fan directing my content for me. I want to self-direct everything as much as possible. I'm like, I will take ideas from people, but it's like, I don't know if people want to see my foot in someone's ear. I don't know if everyone wants to see that. Like, they might.
They might.
They might.
I mean, test the market.
Correct. Yeah, let's do it. My foot. In your
No. Okay. I do non-sexuals and that's it.
I know. Especially with the ears. Oh God. My makeup artist was telling me the other day about, she like hooked up with a guy. This makes me want to throw up. Like non-consensually like shoved his tongue inside her ear hole. And she was like, dude, thank God I clean my fucking ears out regularly. Because imagine if
maybe he's bummed out that she did.
Maybe. Yeah, he like pushed her. She pushed him away a little bit to like kind of motion and like don't do that. And he like went back and did it again. I was like, girl, I would have just left. Like
he's like, I didn't get the goods.
No, I'm digging for gold, bitch.
Oh, give me that ear gold, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck your pussy. I want the ear gold.
Correct. Yes.
I'm not here to kink shame. Not my thing.
No, and it's funny. Speaking of kinks, I feel like when I was a lot younger. So I'm gonna be 30 this year. Wow, crazy.
Oh my God, you're a MILF.
The internet, I know, right? It's like, oh my God, are you a mommy? I'm like, I don't identify as any. Like, it's like, I feel like we need to normalize a woman who is. I don't think I'm slightly older. I feel like I'm just not 18. But it's like normalize not calling every girl who's like not doesn't look like a teenager. You don't need to call her mommy. Like, if you
I don't call anyone mommy. That's weird. That's fucking weird.
Like. I don't know. It makes me kind of cringe personally, but maybe when I'm older in this industry, I'll attach that. But I'm like, I don't know. I don't like kids. I will never have kids. I don't want to treat you like you're my kid either. Like, please, no. Ew.
Right. And the idea of mommy is like, no. I want to put things in you, not have anything come out.
Yes. Yes. Speaking of which, I took a 7-inch dick for the first time on Sunday. Oh, this is actually kind of very new for me. So the only ever male I've ever worked with, for the most part, since before me, well, of course not before I met my partner, but for the most part, 99% of my porn is with my partner, Lev Lieben, who's also in the industry. He's a POV creator, has his own platforms and everything, whole separate thing. And up until I think, literally like a couple weeks ago, we did our first like soft swap with a couple of our friends, and that's just, if you don't know what soft swap is, just like basically doing like oral on each other. So it was just my friend, the wife, and I basically swapped each other's partner and just sucked each other's partner's dicks.
Why just sucking dick?
I don't know. We were just like dabbling, and it's just so funny like having a different dick, because it was like my mouth is literally, I have the world's like smallest mouth in porn. But I have the biggest heart, baby. But I have truly the like smallest mouth in porn, and he was just ever so slightly larger, and I was like, I can't do this.
Your muscle memory's like, what's this? What's going on here?
I know, and I had just had like oral dental surgery, so I was still healing, so my mouth still couldn't like fully expand. I'm no anaconda, like I can't like.
I'll just be happy a filling didn't come out on his dick.
Correct.
Because that would be traumatizing. If I pulled out and like there was a filling, I'd be like, what the fuck?
Like a tooth came out.
Just full on like the bridge came out like,
I know. My palate expander. I should get that. That is a thing. I've heard people doing that, getting their back molars removed for porn to make more room. I don't know.
All right. I mean,
to each their own. Body modification has been going on since the beginning of time. And I'm like, hey, you know.
I'm a proponent of it if you're doing it to make yourself happy. If you're doing it for others, fuck that.
True. Valid. Or like just to do it to like feel like you're a better performer or like you are more appealing as a performer. Totally on you, boo boo. Like I've had my fair share of plastic surgery. Most people don't even like know or recognize it because I don't.
Good surgery.
Only dabble. Yeah, good surgeon. Shout out good surgeons. Yes.
Right. Like if you have bad surgeons, everyone's like, oh, we know.
Well, we've seen.
Right.
We can see it.
But also like shout out to the performers who like
want the.
Well, also like I know some performers that have very visible like augmentation scars, and they're just like, I own that shit. I don't put makeup on this motherfucker. I got my tits done.
That shit inspires me so much. It's like their scars are like I scar horribly, and I'm very self conscious of it. And like there's other girls are just like I don't give a fuck. It's like I have all these scars, I have a fat ass and fake titties, and you still want to fuck me. I'm like I love that mentality.
Right?
Like you might make fun of me, but at the end of the day, you know I would never fuck you.
Right, and like
I know you want to.
You're still fapping to me, so what does that say?
Exactly. Like you cared enough to comment, you cared enough to care to like go out of your way to say something negative about me on the internet. So it's like you cared enough.
Oh, whenever people come for like
me, I know you love me.
Anything negative at this point, I just like thank you for the engagement.
Yes, I'm like wow, yes, she must be fatherless. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. Doesn't really matter. Why do you want my dad's number? Like, what do you want to hit him up or something? You think I'm hot? You think he's hot? Like, what the fuck?
I mean, he might be a cool dude. Maybe I just want to get a beer with him. Why does it always have to be about sex with you?
Right?
Maybe I just want to be platonically friends with your dad. The fuck?
True. Catch some soccer with him. Absolutely. Watch a game.
Right?
He's a chill dude. He's really fun too.
Right? Exactly. Like, why you gotta make it sexual? Like, the fuck? The fuck?
Oh yeah, what was I talking about? So our first like
swap, the soft swap. Yeah.
And then last week I host like a lot of little events with a lot of like creator friends of mine. They're not like creator content events. I try very hard not to force people or like put people in a position where they feel like they have to create constantly. I just want to create a very fun, relaxing environment for people, and if inspiration strikes them, great. But it's we have a really cool core group of friends between my partner Lev and I. And we had our first like full swap with some of our best friends, and it was just so funny because her and I were like very kind of like giggly because I think I was nervous, and I get really giggly when I'm nervous, and I was like, this is so weird. I'm like taking a different dick in front of my boyfriend, and then he's gonna be fucking another girl right in front of me, which I don't care.
Does it turn you on at all? Or?
Yeah, I'm definitely a bit of a cuck. I would say I think it's super hot, but I think deep down I always think about like, how does he feel? You know, I'm like, how does he feel seeing me? And it's always this protective. I think it's something that comes very, unfortunately, natural for a lot of women. They feel like they need to protect their partners, especially as they kind of start exploring outside of the boundaries of their relationship, at least physically. And I felt like, oh my gosh, I can't like moan too loud or like let him think that I'm enjoying this. And then it's like, it's so weird, right? It's like a protective thing. It's like, I want to protect his emotions.
For sure. But and also on your end, is there any fear like with him being inside someone else?
No, not really.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, I'm like, cool, like do whatever, like cream pie hair, do whatever the fuck you want. Like,
I mean, that's the proper mentality. But a lot of people, especially like if you're doing this new, like consciously like I'm okay with this, but when they physically see it for the first time, it takes them mentally like
yeah. And it's a different dynamic than I feel like a lot of people that are in the adult industry, because they either will date someone who is in the civilian world and then they don't have to ever really experience or explore that together,
and then a lot of times goes disastrously.
Yes. And if especially if they're not familiar with the industry, or it's the other way around, or they just date people that are within the industry, which I feel like is a lot.
Also, sometimes goes disastrously.
Valid.
Like I tell people all the time, like I get civilian friends who are like, "Oh, I want to get in the industry." I'm like, you really need to give this some thought before you do it. Like,
It will. It can and will change the dynamics of your relationships. And it's truly, I think of life, a lot of things you do in life as doors that you walk through. And once you kind of walk through these doors, it's really hard to go back. Like
You can't.
going back now, I personally, like, not because I can't, I just don't ever want a 9 to 5 ever again.
Well,
I don't fit that mold. I don't fit that mentality. I'm too business minded to like listen to somebody else like tell me what to do.
I totally get that. But even if you wanted to, there's still the very real possibility that you would get discriminated against in 9 to 5. Like, that's why I tell people, like, when they're like, oh, I want to do this, I'm not going to say no. Like, that I'm not going to help you, but you really have to fucking think about this shit.
You have to assume, yeah, like I'm sure everyone knows, like you have to assume your parents, your whole family's going to find out. My family knows. You have to assume everyone's going to know. And something that kind of has been brought up for me lately is even like searching for houses. It's like, am I going to get, like, it's this constant fear that I'm going to get discriminated against. Like, oh, if they see like the OnlyFans transactions, or if they see like, if they look up what the like Phoenix International, whatever their like little code parent shell company, whatever it's called.
Right.
If they look up, if they Google that, they'll find out what that is. I'm like, gosh, will they?
And a lot of
know?
a lot of large financial institutions know exactly what that is. And then you're like, okay, well, I'm just not going to be able to get a loan from Chase or Wells Fargo or
Bank of America. Those
Right.
are the top three. Yeah. If you have any of those three banks, Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, I will tell you now, they can and will shut your account down if you are in this industry.
Oh, what's crazy?
So many friends.
What's crazy is, like, I had a family member just hit me up out of the blue, and she's like, "Hey Matt, do you still work in adult entertainment?" I'm like, "Yeah, what's up?" She's like, "Do you know what FetLife is?" I'm like, "Of course. Why?
Yeah.
What's up?" She's like, "So me and my now ex like got into FetLife like a year and a half ago, and then when we split, I started going to parties, and now I have an OnlyFans." I'm like, "Oh boy, you're already in. Fuck."
Okay.
Like,
okay, got it.
I pretty much had to like give them like a multi-hour consult for free. Like,
oh no.
and they had opened a bank account with Chase.
Yeah. Oh god.
And I'm like, "Oh, you got to close that immediately." And they're like, thankfully, like, they're such a new OF creator, they haven't gotten a payout yet.
Oh good. Yeah.
But I'm like, close that shit
Wait,
now.
right now. Yeah. Get different email address. Like, it's like so funny, like how it's like people just don't know. And I'm like, how did I figure this out? Like, how did I just
How did you?
I don't know. I really just I had a friend of mine who she hit me up today and she was like, "Hey, I saw like one of your reels about, how much roughly how much money you make. Like, would love to get your help." I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how to advise somebody. I could never coach someone. I'm like, I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. Like, I am just trying everything. I just do everything. I'm on every social media platform. I'm apparently on Spotify, from what I've heard.
Yeah, we will definitely touch on that before the end of the show, but
Not intentionally.
not intentionally. Well, but I think it'd be good for the audience to hear some of the things that were missteps. Like, what did you do that were missteps while you were getting started in this?
It's like so much. I've spent so much money to make money, but so much of it was such a fucking fail. Like, I've tried, like, I used to try to buy what was called guaranteed gains on OnlyFans, like promo on like other people's accounts, but it's not a scam per se, but it's definitely a waste of money because after a certain point, a lot of these like Telegram groups of like people, like girls that like basically heavily use their pages and their platforms just to sell more promotions, are recycling the same fans. So yeah, you're guaranteed, like, if you buy 500 fans, you buy 500 fans, right? But it's like none of them are spending money. So it's like, what's the point? And I wasted a lot of money doing that. I tried to sell promo, but it's really just like social media and being authentic on TikTok. Is what worked for me. And just being authentic to an audience that I know I liked and that liked me, which is, for me, for whatever reason, heavily a military and veteran audience. I was never in the service, but I'm like, I've always liked people in military, guys, girls, whoever. And I'm like, it just worked out. And it was always a passion of mine, I guess, to fuck them. So, but also to work with them in a non-sexual way, obviously.
Fuck their minds. No,
literally. I wanted to heal their minds, literally. I was like, that was part of, I was in grad school for a hot minute as a neuroscience grad, and I very much, even still to this day, I'm really thankful that I ended up basically getting caught doing porn to pay my way through grad school and getting kicked out, or asked to leave, I would say. Asked to leave, quote unquote.
It's like, oh, they were tired. Yeah, like, no, they got fired and had to craft a nice little letter on the way out.
Yeah, like, no. They just asked me to gently leave because of my morals and values didn't align with the institution I was at. Yeah.
Which is so fucked. You're not doing anything illegal.
Literally, it's literally everything's by the book. And even if it was, even like by the letter of the law, it's still all consensual. Because obviously there's other forms of sex work that are technically illegal. But if it's, I feel like for me, it's like as long as it's all consenting legal adults.
It technically does get a little sticky by the letter of the law if you're performing outside of California or New Hampshire.
Like
have
studio work or
no, just making boy-girl content.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because technically, porn is illegal everywhere but California and New Hampshire.
So you can't make porn anywhere?
Not legally. It's just one of those things the Justice Department hasn't enforced since like the Bush era.
It's one of those like laws. It's like, oh, you can't have more than like 10 dildos or some fucking law in Texas. It's like some shit like that.
Right. It's some shit like that. Occasionally, like I think like 10 years ago, like a swinger couple got busted for making porn at home in like Central Florida.
Oh my God. Of course it's fucking Florida.
Right. Well, it's like, but there's so much shit happening in southern Florida, but like northern Central Florida, they're just like, oh no, we're still puritanical here.
Oh yeah, and I grew up in the Bible Belt. Like I'm originally from North Carolina and like Virginia, North Carolina area. I grew up in Georgia, so it's like I've been all up and down the Southeast, that Bible Belt area. I don't miss that culture. Like being out in LA is such a culture shock, and it was initially when I first started coming out here, like a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Is it mostly due to the lack of Waffle Houses?
Yes. Oh my God, I like them smothered and covered, baby. Please, smothered and covered. Oh, I do miss that. They had the best hash browns.
I honestly miss Waffle House too. Like it's fucked. The nearest one is in Phoenix, Arizona.
Is it? Wow, what the fuck?
Yeah, like
how do I?
Why is it in Phoenix? Why is it in fucking Phoenix? We're just as fucking far south.
Random. I know they have Chick-fil-A out here though, so there's a happy medium because I drink sweet tea religiously, and I'm like, oh my God. When I moved to Colorado, I was like, everywhere I go, I was hoping because it's the Midwest, I think, kind of technically.
That's not the Midwest.
Geography, who knows her?
It's like, I do brain stuff, not geography.
I know, I was like, I studied other kinds of sciences, not that one. It's like, how is she so smart? She's so airheaded. I'm like, oh, I just never was able to memorize a lot of things like that.
Limited space for information. You're prioritizing shit.
Correct, yeah. But oh yeah, with veterans though, it's like I went to school for neuroscience, and my whole goal was to work with military veterans with PTSD and traumatic brain injuries, and also folks with spinal cord injuries. And once I got kicked out, it was like, okay, like I didn't really care. I had just basically that same week that I like got asked to leave, the same week right before that happened, Playboy reached out to me to do a scene with, or a shoot with them, not that kind of Playboy, to do a shoot with them, and it was a paid shoot, so I was like, oh, this is like legit. This isn't like one of those pay to play to be on the magazine cover. This is
like we're not in a model search right now.
Yeah, and oh my God, speaking of that, like I feel like a lot of people don't know that that's actually kind of a scam. There's a lot of photographers running this little like scam ring of like selling covers, magazine covers to girls that aren't even legit. But I know, so for this one it was Playboy Plus, which was like the online version, because now it's all fully US is Playboy is no longer print anymore.
Rest in peace, Playboy.
I know, since
pour one out for you, but yeah. Be on my floor. So
yeah, and we're not here to waste anything.
No.
In that same week, and I was like, wow, this is like a sign. This is crazy. But ever since then, I've been able to do so much more for the military veteran community than I would as a clinician, because I was studying occupational therapy, specifically with a neuro rehab track. But as a clinician, I can help maybe 7 to 8 people a day at best, and that's if like the hospital's really fucking hustling me to work. And that's another part. I met my partner in the midst of I was in my first clinical rotation. I was like, that fucking beat me down so bad.
Was he a performer already at that point?
No, he was in a different job before, and then he wasn't like, I did not meet him at the hospital. But I just met him like online or on like a dating app, and he lived locally.
So wait a minute, you turned him out?
I did. I turned him the fuck out.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, and he learned the ropes, and he like really just took it and ran with it. And I was like, now he's his own POV. He's his own POV performer and producer. I'm like, good for you, dude. Like, you fucking killed it. He just took up everything so seamlessly. So I'm very lucky that I got to not just have a partner that's supportive, but a partner that genuinely wanted to be in this industry as well.
Like the best swipe right ever.
Literally. I was like, this worked out really well.
Right? Like, holy shit. If it was like 2 dudes down, who knows where this would have
I
gone.
know. But yeah, so I'm really grateful to be in a position now where I can help people in a lot more meaningful way because money talks, right? So I'm able to fund, there's a few organizations I really like to work with. But for the most part, I'm able to fund some clinical trials around research, specifically around psychedelic research. So
Yay, psilocybin.
yay, psilocybin, LSD. Yep.
It's all my favorite things.
Ketamine too.
Never actually done K, but
I haven't done K either, but I've heard such good things.
I've heard good things too.
Yeah.
I probably should at some point. Probably do the proper. Probably not.
Do it the right way. No, in a clinical setting, it's super cool. I've had a lot of friends do like ketamine infusion treatments. I think they did like 5 or 6. Some of them get really nauseous on it, but for the most part, I've heard really good things. So if you've never dabbled in psychedelics at all, ketamine is definitely the safest one. And if it's in a clinical setting, there's like a
mushrooms are definitely safer than ketamine.
I guess, yes. It just the trip. I've never done K, so I can't like speak to that. But mushrooms just make me icky. They make my stomach like.
I mean, but you can't OD on mushrooms.
No, you can't OD on ketamine either.
Sure.
I'm fairly certain.
Okay, we're going to Google on that.
Google it.
We're Googling that one because I feel like
that's why they use it. Well, like so traditionally, I think they used it on the battlefield, and I forget which war, but yeah, look up ketamine.
Why did it start with "Can you overdose on ketchup"? I just typed KET in it.
Who is searching that? Who is a sad light?
Well, this is what it popped up with on just a completely like random. It's like, can you overdose on ketchup? Can you overdose on keto gummies?
Keto gummies. Okay, yes. When I take edibles at night every night to sleep, I'm like, man, if I just had one more, I'd be fucking done though.
Now I have a bunch of ads for ketamine.
Ketamine and keto gummies.
The American Addiction Centers.org says ketamine overdose symptoms.
But that's the fucking.
But
that's big. Yeah, that's like big pharma. Big like that's like Uncle Sam trying to tell you like what's up.
Yeah, I'm trying to find someone that is in a treatment center. Drugs.com. Let's see if drugs.com has.
Tell me that. Yeah. What's the scoop?
Ketamine use effects.
I just know my really good friend, Goddess Sylvanas. She's a dominatrix. She went to vet school for quite some time, and it's like she like accidentally gave a baby turtle, like too much ketamine. It was just like, but it was fine. Like it.
You gave a turtle ketamine.
But she was like operating on it. A little baby sea turtle. I'm like, oh, that's cute.
And this is how they become ninjas.
Correct. Ninja turtles, yes, they take ketamine.
That was the ooze.
Yes.
Someone flushed their ketamine to get away from the cops and they end up in the sewers.
Like, what the fuck happened? Oh my god, good times. You see, perks of being 30, almost 30.
Yes, that reference did go flying over your head.
It did not, no.
Someone who's 21 would be looking at me like, the fuck are you talking about?
Ninja, I'm like, okay, weirdo.
I mean, I get that anyways, but...
Same. So can you OD on?
Yeah, oh yes. With an overdose of ketamine, emergency care such as 911 should be contacted immediately. An overdose can lead to unconscious and dangerously slowed breathing. There is no antidote for this drug.
Interesting.
So I guess because it's a bit of a depressant, if you have too much of it,
it'll slow your heart, but it can technically, like, it'll do that, but it is very difficult for you.
Overdose situations are treated with symptomatic and supportive care in a hospital setting.
You would have to have so much ketamine, I feel like.
Oh,
in a clinical setting, it's safe though, obviously.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, respiratory support is rarely needed, but assisted ventilation or supplemental oxygen may be required. Respiratory depression may
wait for it to go away.
Yeah, may be more likely if combined with sedatives. So, like,
don't mix the two.
Yeah, don't do weird fucking mixes of your drugs.
Don't mix your drugs, probably in general, I feel like, as a rule of thumb. So it's like, I'm having a drink now, but like I will say, and for the most part, I like to take. I do some drugs recreationally, and I feel like we can kind of normalize them. I know. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
But I'm never out of control. I think that's the biggest thing. So
why not?
Me out of control. Wow. A control freak like me, I could never.
You gotta let loose occasionally.
Yes, but no, I do love mushrooms. I've done acid. I've done DMT, and that was very like it was a little too much. I saw the window in the distance. I was like, I don't really care to see what's close to that window or behind that window.
Like, let's not open that motherfucker.
Yeah, let's get that shit shut. But I'm sure a lot of people have heard of GHB, which is traditionally the date rape drug.
Yep.
Crazy, but it's been around for quite some time. It's very well researched. It was originally prescribed for narcolepsy. It doesn't make you fall asleep, but it's only dangerous when you mix it with alcohol. That's where it becomes really sketchy. But if you take it recreationally, it's basically mimics the effect of alcohol without a hangover, it mitigates pretty much most side effects that alcohol has because it processes out of your body very quickly. So imagine just being like feeling drunk or tipsy for a couple hours, like 2 to 3 hours, and it kind of just fades away.
Boo.
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 Lame drunk.
Does it make me want to go get greasy food? No. Does it make me want to have sex with people that are kind of questionable? No. Fuck this. Fuck that.
Oh my God, I can't tell you. When I was younger, I stripped for a while, and like I think living that life, I wasn't stripping very often, but like I turned nocturnal, so I was constantly out at night. So when I was bored, I was living in North Carolina at the time, and I would just be like on the prowl every night. Like it'd be like Tuesday night, I'd be like, I'm bored, like I want to find some random dude.
So were you dancing up somewhere like Toby's?
What's Toby's?
Oh, it's a strip club in North Carolina, like on the military side of, like on the fucking coast. That's
it's probably way up, like near Lejeune. Like
it's near all the bases. The only reason I know is I went there with features when I was a roadie.
Oh, I'm sure maybe it's Cheetahs now. I'm sure the name changed.
Hold on.
Look up where it is. Because I did the Myrtle Beach.
It's in Jacksonville, North Carolina.
Oh yeah, I don't think I've been there.
I was just giving
Marines. I love my Marines, but they are crazy.
I'm just giving shout outs to clubs I've worked at. So
yeah, no, I miss the strip club culture so much. Like I almost thought about going back to it because it's just it can be catty, but it's also just such a fun environment, and I think it's so entry level for a lot of guys to go into. And I have fun at strip clubs every fucking time I go. I get trashed. Like at strip, like I'll be taking my tits out, and I'm like, man, I should be kicked out. Like I need.
Yeah, but such a wide berth for women at the club, as long as like the dancers aren't upset.
Yeah, I'm not harassing dancers. Like that was the biggest thing when I was a stripper, and even at like some show industry like porn events I've been to that are fan facing. Right, it's like the people that harass me the worst are literally women. They're like just like ass grabbing me, pussy grabbing me. I'm like, what the fuck? Out of nowhere without consent. I'm like, lady, like, listen, I know you're a woman, but like that doesn't mean that you can get away. You get this like hall pass.
Right, you don't get a free pass on this shit.
Yeah, and it was the worst in the clubs. We call them like the woo girls. They're like woo, and they don't tip. They're just at the front. They're like taking up the whole the bar,
The stage.
Yeah, they're like sitting up by the stage, not tipping. They're taking up all the room. And they're just like grabbing your thong and trying to like eat your pussy, basically. And I'm like, calm down. Like,
I'm getting married in a week. Woo!
Woo girls, hence woo girls.
Yeah.
We don't like them, but I don't know. Like even like where I live out in Denver, there's some really cool strip clubs that are very like my partner and I went, and it was like all couples, and I was like, what is this? This is so whole. It was like the most wholesome night I've ever had in my life.
That's awesome. So here,
good club. Yeah, that's good club energy. I think that's very like inclusive and not trying to just like
separate dudes from their money and.
Yeah, it was a good balance because I've definitely worked at some clubs out in Myrtle Beach, if you know that kind of area.
Yep.
Golf season. If you've never heard of golf season in Myrtle Beach, it is huge. We call them the Northerners come down every spring and fall. It's like this weird. It's like a tradition a lot of these men have, right? It's like a boys' trip that they've been having for the last 20 years since they were in college, since they were in the fraternity, and they're like 50 now. And it's like a week-long golfing trip. It's like a don't ask, don't tell kind of trip. And they will rent yachts and boats and go golfing. And every day it's just golf, drink, strip club, repeat. Golf, drink, strip club, repeat. Every fucking day for the entire week.
That sounds fucking miserable.
Yeah, but like I worked as a cocktail waitress that one, and they just I made like several grand a night as a cocktail waitress.
Wow.
And it was sketchy because like the guys would get plastered, and the management would just sign the checks. I'm like, that's not very.
Isn't that how Scores went down in New York? Like like years ago, like the fucking. Isn't that what that JLo movie?
Hustler.
Isn't that what Hustlers was based on?
Yes, because that was a true story, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't condone that. Like,
no, that's fraud.
Correct. I'm like. Yeah, like signing someone's checks when they're like literally inebriated, probably not good.
Probably not.
No. That was Scores. Interesting.
So I'm going to ask you a clickbait question now.
Yes, do it.
Ever hook up with any clientele?
Ooh, No, actually. I went back. So one night when I was working in North Carolina, I don't know what it was the best night, like the most money I've ever made as a stripper. And it was like they had like a swingers night. So all these couples came through and were fucking like these like I feel like I don't know why like I feel like I associate swingers with money. But I feel like a lot of them do have money because they're happy and happy people tend to make more money. I don't know, right? They're more productive. I don't really know.
I don't know.
I don't know. There's probably no correlation. Maybe I'll do like a scientific project on that.
Right? There has to be some study into this because I know some pretty miserable people that have some fucking money
That's true.
because all they did was pursue the money and then like, oh, now that I have money.
Yeah, but every swinger couple that I know are like very successful, weirdly. So maybe that's just in my weird circle. But there was and it wasn't even a couple. I don't know why I'm saying this, but it's the wine talking. But it was just it brought in a lot of people that night to the club. And there was like one guy who apparently was in the porn industry. I don't know his name. But he seemed, I don't know, he seemed pretty young. But he had a friend of his, and like I went back to do like a private dance for them, and like they just ended up trying to turn it into like a fucking threesome. The porn guy was the one fighting off his friend for me, and I was like, this is getting kind of sketchy situation.
Just a little.
I came here to get my bag, and I'm trying to get my bag snatched, my pussy, and I'm like, this isn't. Yeah. Thankfully, this is why you wear 8-inch or like fucking 12-inch pleasers, because you can stab people in the dick if you need to with them. But this like porn guy was like so nice, was like giving me all the money that I like wanted basically, and was like, sorry about my friend. He just inebriated and he just doesn't fucking know, because they were trying to find a condom. I'm not having sex with either of y'all. I would have though, honestly, but I was like dating I think I was like 25 at the time, and I was dating some 50-year-old dude who probably hates me now. I think he leaves like horrible comments on my porno videos. Some like 50-year-old British dude who hated me becoming a stripper, because it was like we were in a relationship and then I became a stripper, and he was like, why do you smell like other men?
So were you a cocktail waitress when you started dating him, or?
No, I was a cocktail waitress before I met him.
Okay.
And then I moved towns, and then I met like a girl at a strip club, or I met a girl that worked at a strip club but I met her at a bar. She's a bartender as well. Surprisingly, she was Mormon.
There seems to be a lot of Mormons that are like, oh, I'm free now. It's time to go.
Yeah, I was like, wow. Her name was Dixie. She was awesome. She taught me the ropes. She was an aerial artist, so that was very cool. But yeah, and that's kind of how I got like more immersed in the adult industry, I think. My nose is so stuffy. Oh my God.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's LA allergies. I'm like, wow, I think everyone this week woke up with like a weird little like a sniffle.
I'm going to stay on the side of the table. I don't want your plague. The eye roll for the audio audience.
Please.
The eye roll for the audio audience was just like.
To be fair, that's another thing why I want to be in LA more often, because it's like I feel like I get sick every time I go home, because imagine I'm like making out with like 20 people in like a 2-week period, right? And it's a lot on my immune system. I'm like, my immune system's like, ow, please help me.
But don't people in Denver have longer lives?
I think so.
I mean, statistically,
The altitude.
I think so.
Altitude or sunshine.
We have plenty.
It's such a beautiful state, and I will miss being there all the time. But it's like, if I'm here all the time, why say anything?
Right. And it's not like Denver's that cheap these days.
It's really fucking not. It's pretty comparable to LA. So.
Yeah, years ago, like when I had a Joe job, they were just like, do you want to move to Denver? I'm like, or do you want to pay me
to
move to fucking Denver? Oh, you want me to take a pay cut to no.
It's like, also Denver's like very slightly pretentious, because if you're not super, super about skiing, snowboarding, hiking 24/7, it's like, oh.
Well, I feel like if you're in the
I'm trying, okay? Look, I'm trying out here. I can barely walk up the fucking flight of stairs to this place without being completely out of breath. I literally took the elevator and I was still out of breath.
Well, I'm glad you didn't take the stairs. The stairwells are locked. You would have just been stuck in my...
Oh, God. Horrified.
It's like, oh, well, Cami lives in my stairwell now. That's cool.
I'm like, help.
Just texting your publicist, like, she never showed up, man. And weeks later, we just find you, like, in the stairwell, feral, like...
Like, I've been, like, eating people as I come down.
Murdering my neighbors and eating them.
Scraps on the floor. Yeah. Finding trash on the ground somehow. Digging through the walls.
Like, I don't know what happened, man. She just never showed up to the podcast.
Don't know what to tell you. Don't know what to tell you.
Don't know. I have no clue. But Denver is a cool city. Like, I've had some good times there. Do you eat meat?
I don't actually.
Oh,
Why?
because the Buckhorn Exchange.
Oh.
Have you ever been? Did you know? It's.
Have you been to Shotgun Willie's?
I have not.
That's the strip club that I love. Shotgun
Nice.
Willie's.
See, I don't go to strip clubs.
What? Really?
I've
You worked at one?
I've been a roadie for on and off for years. So
Really?
so like seeing very much how strip clubs work and like working in them is just like, I have no desire to be here. I very much am not here to spend money on window shopping.
Yeah. And that's like, I feel like it's interesting because I feel like a lot of men share that mentality. It's like, why am I here to get hard and then just leave?
Right.
But
And
it's also a connection thing. I feel like it was so funny. I feel like I felt way more, I was more spiritual as a person when I was stripping because I would connect and because you are being like face to face with your clientele, right? It forces you to really to connect and figure out a way to build rapport very quickly. Because it's like you're trying to get money, so it's
right.
People really thought I was a psychic. They're like, "Cami, are you a psychic? Like, what the fuck?" They're like, "How do you know this about my life? How my wife treats me?" I'm like, "It's not being psychic. I've just heard it a million times."
Right. Like, I'm just playing the odds. It's exactly why I need to get rosé.
Correct. Correct.
So it's just like, I know that's just an illusion, and I'm not here to pay for the fantasy because it's not a fantasy for me.
Right. Yeah.
One of the greatest joys in my life these days is when I do end up in a club. It's without a doubt I'm there working. That's the only time I'm in a club at this point. And it brings me such joy when strippers roll to be like, "Hey," I'm like, "I'm here with the feature." And they're like, "All right, cool," because then they drop their bullshit.
Oh, you go with the featured dancer.
Yeah, that's what I'd be doing. I'd be roadie.
So cool. Okay.
Like
I thought about doing that. Like I'll have to like hit up my publicist. I'm like, "Do you know any other like feature?" Because I miss it. I can still dance. Like I can still do something.
Oh yeah.
So it's like,
no, you could definitely make a lot of money as a feature.
Even if you can't, I'm like, I would love to feature dance at like strip clubs near military bases because all the military baddies, like no, all the dudes that know me, I'm like,
Toby's in Jacksonville definitely brings in features.
Toby's in Jacksonville. Okay. Or I'll figure out whatever the name is. I'm sure it's still there.
I Googled it. It's still there.
It exists?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's in Jacksonville. Like
Marines, I feel like when I was younger, the Marine guys, like as customers would freak me out because they would get like so rough. And I didn't know how to stand up for myself. I didn't quite have a voice yet. But now I'm like, oh, I would eat these guys for fucking dinner. Like, I'm like, oh, honey, you little 22-year-old. Like, you're so cute.
Marine, back the fuck off. Your fucking commanding officer's definitely in my DMs.
Literally.
Do you want to be doing PT tomorrow?
I know. I slept with a brigadier general and his wife. So.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, the brigadier general is a pretty, like, I think is it a 1-star? 2-star? I have no fucking idea. But it's a pretty,
You put general in there and he's not selling insurance, that's important.
Yeah, he's not quite a paper pusher, but yeah. I think that's like I forget that happened, and I forget like that I made some TikToks about it, and people know me for that, and that became so controversial because it was like, oh my god, he could get like kicked out of the military because like technically you're not supposed to live with anyone outside of your marriage if you're in the military, which is really stupid. You also can't have anal in the military.
I'm sure that's happening all the time.
Literally, and it's like the military lives by such archaic rules. It's so stupid, but like everyone's swinging. Like the amount of officers that I know that are like in swingers clubs, it's crazy, and they all do like wife swaps with each other. I'm like, bro, like no one talks about it, but it's like people want to get at me because I made a barracks video with a military personnel.
What rank? I know you wait till you retired, so
yes, I actually don't know.
You don't know his rank?
No. I just know he was a grunt. He was not. He was a grunt, but I don't care. I'll do all of them. I'll do pogues. I'll do grunts.
You're like, I'll fuck my way up the command chain.
Quite literally, I have, and I will. But I made a barracks video, and people are like, you could get him. Like, people for some reason associate me with being in the military. I'm like, I have never said once I'm in the military. I've never been in the military. I don't want to ever be. Do you think I would survive in the military? Are you kidding me? A woman of my stature? That would not survive.
Oh, come on. Rory Knox was in the Air Force.
Oh, fair. Really?
Yeah.
Well, there's also Kaylee Gunner. She's awesome. Huge fan of Kaylee Gunner.
Yeah, like, so there are definitely people of similar stature that, survived in the military.
True. I just like mentally, I'm like, I don't want to wear the same shit every time. I tried that in grad school, going the medical route. I'm like, I ain't doing this. Granted, like scrubs are very comfortable, But like, I get to wear corsets and sweatpants now, so I'm super here for this.
Fuck yeah.
But a lot of people are like, "Oh my god, you're gonna get him kicked out." I'm like, no. I like did this the right way. Like, it is not illegal or against any sort of code to like technically film anything.
Depending on the state.
Correct. Oh, fair enough. Yes, but like, and were we on government property? Sure, but like, I could have been on BLM land somewhere, and it's like you're on government property.
It's still illegal.
People do that shit all the time, though. It's like,
Oh yeah, I've shot guns on BLM land, and that's not legal either.
right? But it's like, what are you gonna do? Like, come at me.
Yeah, but well, actually, no, I take that back. There is video proof of that. Fuck.
I have video proof of mine too, but I think,
I hope so.
well, yeah, because I waited until after he was out of the military. It's like I see no harm in that. Like, I wasn't trying to monetize anything while he was still in. I wasn't trying to abuse anything or anyone. It's like,
But at the end of the day, he's a consenting adult. If you did release while he was still in, and he suffered consequences for it, he's an adult who made that choice.
yeah, intent, like by the letter of the law. Can he get in trouble? Yes, but like, I promise you, no one, because you need basically you need to create like a panel of people that want to show up and like basically get this guy in trouble, do all this fucking paperwork. No one wants to do that.
No, they want to high five him.
They're
like, bro, that's awesome.
you should have done that. You should have done that. Wink.
Right.
Nice job.
Exactly.
Nice cock.
Right. And
And he made a bag, and now I mean I don't like to brag, but it's like I was able to do quite a bit for him that, like, you know, prevented him from basically becoming homeless. So,
aw, look at you.
It worked out.
Fucking veterans and the homeless.
Both. I don't judge. Like, I don't care where you come from. You lay pipe down, lay pipe down.
But 100%, like, you did the right thing. That was awesome on you for, like, potentially not getting him in trouble. But if he did get in trouble, he's an adult. He made an adult choice. And if he had to suffer the consequences for it, that's the choice he made.
Yeah. And nothing comes back on me. And like, he knew what the consequences were. We literally asked a JAG lawyer, like a JAG, and they're like, just don't like say anything about it, or don't like make it too obvious, or
Don't get caught.
don't get caught. Don't get caught, and like obscure any sort of like anything that's distinguishing.
Yeah,
Like
don't
tattoos or location or like room numbers. Obviously, like, don't make it like,
have him hold his ID to the camera while you're riding him. Like,
yeah. Oh my god, a few years ago I did a special like hey, send me proof that you're in the military, or I don't even think I said send me proof. I just said like, hey, let me know you're in the military or a veteran, and I'll give you a free trial to my page. And so many guys sent me their CAC. They're like, CAC ID. I'm like, bro, that's like, you cannot take a picture of that. Like, that is, it's like taking a picture of your social security number or your social security card. I'm like, you're stupid. I'm like, I believe you. You didn't have to tell me. You don't have to prove it. I will just honestly.
like, if you really want to do false valor just to get some OnlyFans, that's on you, bro.
Yeah, and I was like, you didn't need to do that. It wasn't even stolen valor. It was just like, you're literally giving me your credentials. Like, that's not very smart of you, but okay. It's okay, boo boo. Here's your free trial.
Well, unfortunately, like, a lot of our armed forces were recruited in because they don't have the best educational backgrounds or a lot of choices.
They didn't have, I know, and some of them do, but it's like, it sucks. I think the military can be very predatory.
Oh, definitely.
People talk about the porn industry being predatory. Excuse me. Have you seen what the military does?
Oh yeah, I was an 18-year-old man in this country. Yes, I'm well aware.
They will straight up lie to you. They're like, oh my god, yeah, we're gonna give you this and that and the other, and like, none of it happens. Or they make it sound like you're gonna be like a hero. I'm like, you're literally just pushing. You're like brooming the barracks at 2 a.m.
See, I just use recruiters for some free meals, and then they're like, peace.
I love a free lunch. There is a such thing as a free lunch.
Oh, because I had zero intention of joining the military. Zero. Like,
correct.
I had authority problems as a teenager real bad. Like, I would have been court-martialed out.
Oh, shit.
Like, I'm sure I've said this on air before. Like, I graduated high school in, like, the alternative school, and it's not because I'm dumb.
Really?
Oh, yeah, it's not because I'm dumb. It's because I have behavioral problems.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, like, I just didn't want to show up. I was bored. I didn't show up to school.
I forget about that, like the whole concept of like alternative schools. It's like, I grew up in a very small town in Virginia, kind of pretty conservative for the area, because it was like Central Virginia was very much a small town, very kind of closed-minded. So when girls would get pregnant at like 14, they'd go to the alternative school. I would never see them again. I'm like, where the fuck did they go? I was like, oh. That they went there. They went to there.
Yeah, I went to there. Thankfully, our alternative school was like on the same campus, so I still got to intermingle with like my normal friends.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we just had our own
hybrid alternative.
Well, it's like we had our own segregated wing for like during the day, but we were allowed to take lunch with the regular folks.
Is it? I hate to and feel free to not answer, but is it that much different than?
Oh yeah, it's
what in what ways?
okay. So the classes, unfortunately, are fucking remedial.
Okay, so they're trying to just.
Well, they're trying to cater to people that are legitimately there because of learning disabilities.
Got it. Oh, got it.
So they can't like, oh, hey, you're in advanced alternative school, and here's remedial alternative school. It's not like.
Was this in a more rural part of like?
No, this is in fucking the suburbs of Chicago.
Oh wow. Okay, interesting.
The coursework was remedial.
Got it.
The teachers are fucking saints. Like the people that chose to
teachers need to get paid like porn stars, truly. Like
well, and teachers that opted to go into the alternative school. Because like I saw some shit there. Like I saw dudes like get into bloody brawls in stairwells, like hit people with fucking bike locks, shit like
in the alternative school?
Mm-hmm.
How do you even get that shit in?
Well, this is the 90s. There were no metal detectors.
Fair enough.
There were no metal detectors unlike like
not like there is now.
Yeah, Columbine happened in my senior year of high school. So
oh yeah.
So like it was like but the fucked up part is like the school I went to a year before I started, a kid did get shot in the cafeteria.
Oh my god!
But it wasn't in like an intentional thing. Some kid was, we definitely had gangs, and like some kid was being kind of targeted by the gangs and had a gun in his backpack and didn't properly store it. And when he put his backpack down, discharged it, hit somebody else in the stomach.
Oh my god!
Yeah, like it was a 22.
They didn't know what they were.
Yeah, they didn't know what they were doing. Actually,
they were handling. They had no idea, like gun safety, like non-existent.
Yeah, a buddy of mine is actually the one who got shot. He still has a 22 slug floating around in there because they couldn't get it out. Yep.
Wow.
But yeah, his freshman year, he got shot in the fucking stomach in the cafeteria.
Yeah, I got Bibles thrown at my head by guys because I was like,
recently? No. You whore!
Jesus hits you. Boom. No, I remember like being in a car and it was like these brothers. I feel like I know all these guys know that I'm in the porn industry now. It's so funny. Knowing that because I get like really like weird DMs from them sometimes. Like, please do piss contact with this like person. I'm like, what the fuck? You're from my high school.
You ever think about going to the reunion?
No, I think it was I think my 10-year was last year. Yeah, it was last year because I'm 29 now. So my 10-year was last year, and I was like, I ain't doing that. And it was also like weird because like it was still kind of COVID-ish or like post-COVID, so they just had the reunion at like a brewery. I was like, okay. Like they didn't rent out the brewery; they just did it at a brewery, like impromptu. I'm like, I don't really care because then I feel like if I go, I feel like I have to flex or like make up for it somehow because I was like the school slut. I slept with like 2 dudes, but
oh my god, 2 whole dudes?
Yeah. And I think I was like naked. I got like drunk and like stripped naked at a party one time. So I was like, oh, that's Cami. She's a slut.
Oh my god. You get naked sometimes? Oh my god.
Oh my god. We have bodies.
Oh my god.
We have flesh.
Oh my god. No.
It's like, trust me, I've done so much stupider shit drunk.
You and me both.
Yes. I've cheated. I've cried. It is what it is.
How many times have you cheated?
Twice on the same person though.
Well, that's his fault.
Oh, it was. He was an absolute kind of he was very emotionally unavailable. Like we dated for like 6 months and he never called me his girlfriend. He never said we were like monogamous. So it's also like,
so you didn't cheat.
Did I cheat?
No, you did not cheat.
I don't think I did. If we never identified what the relationship was, I'm like, I don't think we did. Actually.
Well, I hate to break it to you. Since you identified it as I cheated, you did cheat because the intent in your mind is you did.
Fair. Oh, absolutely. I think it was definitely like sketchy, but it's also like, I think if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have met my partner now.
Well, and also if you hadn't defined it as I cheated, I'd be like, you didn't cheat. But since in your head, in the intent.
Yeah, like the intention and like it felt, yeah, because even like, yeah, I was drunk, but I wasn't drunk when I met up with this person. You know what I mean? Like I fully intended like to hang out with them. And then I got drunk and then shit happened. And it gets like a weird gray area. And it's like, oh.
Well, intent's important. Intent is the difference between manslaughter and murder.
Correct. Oh, but the most embarrassing part, oh my god, this guy, he's a pretty big Twitch streamer. He was in the military as well. Different guy that I filmed with. but I fucked a lot of guys in the military. Okay, I got so drunk I literally peed in his bed. That became like my thing. I would pee in people's beds for quite a while, which is I think why I stopped drinking really heavily, like binge drinking. Like I can drink a whole bottle of wine, I'll be fine.
I mean, I don't care. It's not my bed.
I know. I'll just pee on your chair.
It's leather for a reason.
Yes, I think that helped me, like primed me for squirting later on in life.
Just like I let it flow.
That same relaxation, just like relax, relax, and do it. Yeah, pretty much that. Ladies for you.
But that's the thing. Like, if you cheat on him, and like
It helped me realize like the relationship was just not for me. And then we're like, you know what? This is not. I don't think I ever told him that I cheated. I just like was like, hey, some like sketchy things happened. Because I'm like, what's the point of me trying to like harm him even further?
Right.
If you cheat, just break up with the person and just like, I didn't want to like traumatize him further. So hopefully he doesn't hear this.
Well,
if he does, I mean, he has no social media at all. So he was one of those people. But he was an orthopedic surgeon. I'm like, whatever. Like, very successful, but he very much thought of me as like, oh, you're just doing like this like porn thing as like a cool side thing. You're still gonna be like an occupational therapist. You're still gonna work in the medical field. So he very much diminished me as like a talent or a performer, whatever you want to call me. And I'm like, I don't really vibe with that. Like,
do you think he was doing that just so he could cope with what you were doing?
I think he was doing that because so he could cope with how much money I was making.
See, I don't
compared to him because he was working long ass days. You know, as anyone in the medical field is, they should get paid more. But like he was making 6 figures, right? But doing way more difficult or like longer hours. Maybe not difficult, but like longer hours of work for sure.
I never get that mentality of like, oh, I'm going to be jealous of my partner because they make more. Like,
he's also like from North Carolina, and I've pretty much never left the state. Like born and raised, you know, very humble beginnings, very conservative beginnings. So I don't think he could really wrap his head around it. And I think for a while in dating, I really settled for people and for men specifically that I felt like at least tolerated what I did for a living or like how to make ends meet. They like, oh, cool. Like they don't hate me for it. Excellent. Like the bar was so low for me.
And unfortunately, that's an old tale in this industry too.
Yeah, tales all the time. Truly, Beauty and the Beast.
I mean that's unfortunately why a lot of performers end up with fucking like suitcase pimps because
Suitcase pimps.
Oh, you've never heard that term?
No, I've never heard of that.
It's the boyfriend who doesn't work
Oh yeah.
Who like, oh babe, I told you, like doesn't work maybe on the most surface level.
I'll support you.
Right. Maybe on the most surface level helps out with her career a little bit. Like, oh, I work. I manage her social media or something. Like,
yeah, I answer her DMs on like Instagram every now and then, or like, oh, I help her like reach out to collabs on Twitter. It's like that's not really any helping me.
Yeah, I'm showing my industry age. Yeah, it's an old school term of the boyfriend who would drive her to set and carry her suitcase onto the set.
Suitcase pimps. Got it. That makes sense. Yeah, because you have more of a mainstream like studio background where it's like I don't know that world at all, and like I want to get that experience. Like I think I mentioned, in the beginning.
Don't get a suitcase pimp.
No, and like I have a performer like as a partner now, which is really cool. Like it's super cool seeing him kind of sprout, and like we're basically like we just started collaborating with other people, doing trade shoots with other people on our own independently. So I did my first boy girl scene with someone else earlier this week, and I'm like, wow, like I was so nervous because I'm like, what if I get sketched out? I'm like, at almost 30 years old now, I feel like I have a voice. I know like if something gets like fucky and weird, I know how to walk away from it. I know how to like get out of a situation. Whereas like if I was way younger, I don't know if I could like handle that. But I know going into the situation, I know how to vet people. I know how to like ask for referrals, references, and all that.
So why are you here?
Right.
No, but it's good that you got in.
It's a finesse you develop over time, I think.
Right, and that's the one problem with the 18-year-old performers who get in is in a lot of cases I'm
not against that, but I think I'm also like for like make the industry better maybe or more informed.
Well, definitely the industry needs to be better and more informed. But until that point, it can be really rough for an 18-year-old performer who doesn't fucking know any better, and no one's like unless they fall in with the right fucking people.
Yeah, think about when you were 18. I was a fucking disaster. Like I was getting drunk every weekend, every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at a frat party. Having fights with like my boyfriend at the time, like every fucking day. Like
yeah, imagine putting sex work in that mix.
Yeah, it's you're not quite developed. Like, regardless of what like gender you are, like your brain isn't quite developed. It's like,
It's not cooked till you're 25.
yeah. I feel like my brain wasn't cooked until like 2 years ago.
Oh, but if you asked me at 18, my brain was fucking cooked. Like, oh no, I know what the fuck. Like,
Oh yeah,
I did not.
You know what's best for you. You know everything. It's funny because my parents would always say that, like, "Oh, Cami, like you think you know everything about the world," and that was like when I was like young, right? And like I got to 18, I still thought that way, but it's like it was like maybe a couple of years ago. I'm like, wow, like I understand what my parents were saying about like you think you know everything about the world. You think because you think you're so hip and you think you're so cool, and like your parents, you think your parents are so like old school and don't know anything about this era, right? But like history repeats itself and like certain things stay. Like,
well, and the reality of the situation is they don't know shit either. They're much older and they don't know shit either. None of us know shit.
anyone knows.
Exactly.
No one knows anything.
Right. That's the realization. Like,
We're all fumbling through life.
at 18, I thought I had the fucking world by the balls. I thought I knew what the fuck I was going on. And at 42, I'm like, oh, I didn't know shit then. I still don't really know shit now.
Right.
That's why I regularly tell people, do not take my opinion as fucking gospel on this fucking show.
Because everything is constantly changing too. Like this, like not just this industry, like everything. Like people go to like go to college for like computer science or engineering, and like what you need to know now, what you're learning now, is going to change by the time you're done.
Well, and
it's like,
I was actually a working IT professional when in high school.
Oh, wow. What the fuck?
Yeah,
a prodigy.
Well, and that's part of the reason I fucked off in high school, because at 18, I'm like, I already work in IT. I'm not going to college. This is pre.com bubble burst.
A job?
Oh yeah,
a job.
Yeah, I worked as a break fix like computer technician in a computer shop.
Oh my god, my brother, you know Geek, so you know Geek Squad, right?
Yeah.
Thankfully, no one knows who my brother is. When he was like 17, 18, he worked at a Geek Squad, and there was this program where you could trade in your like laptop, or not trade in, but like if like you felt like your the fixes to your computer like were greater than the value of computer, you could just like gift them, donate your laptop to Geek Squad, and they'll give you like a little bit of a
credit or something,
whatever towards something else. He would take those laptops somehow. He like stole these laptops, fix them up, and then resell them.
Good hustle.
He's a hustler, though. I think that's where I learned a lot. So he's my older brother, and that's where I learned a lot of my hustle mentality. Like he does a lot of like Amazon, like he sells books on Amazon. Like,
so is he doing drop shipping and all that shit?
Yeah, he's killing it though. Like he has his own fucking huge ass like warehouse now. I'm like, what the like? Who are you? Are you fucking like what's his name? Gary Vaynerchuk? Like who the fuck are you? So he has his whole like brand, and like he has his own TikTok, and it's funny. We look nothing alike though, thankfully, because people are like, oh, are you Cami's brother? But he knows like he knows like he was the first person I went to about like this industry in general, and he was like, you know what, sis, like if the dollars make sense, they make sense. And he's always been very supportive of like my entrepreneurial pursuits in general in life. Like we got involved basically in a cult together quite a while ago. Like he kind of got me involved, but he didn't know what we were in for. He had no idea.
How old were you guys at the time?
I was like maybe 21, 22. And he's 3 years older, so he was like 24, 25.
Right, so still at the age of not knowing shit.
Correct. We were just doing the best with what we had, and our parents are immigrants from Peru, so like they very much had this idea of like my parents are very much, and I love them, and but it's still like I feel like most parents are like go to school, get good grades, get a good job, you know.
Well, that's the bill of goods. That's the American dream. Bill of goods. Like, oh, if you sit down and shut up for fucking 16 years.
Right.
You will have a successful life.
You'll get retirement.
Your employer will take care of you.
And that worked for my parents, and that is the last generation that will pretty much that will work for at this point, because there's not going to be like Social Security for me is fucked. Like there's not going to be anything left at this point.
Fuck no, there won't.
Yeah, like there's not going to be anything much left.
And even if you're on a fixed salary, look at how much inflation we had just this year alone. Imagine if you were on a fixed salary right now, you'd be going back to fucking work.
Right. So like they're probably one of the last people of that generation that will have that luxury, right? Whereas like my brother and I were always very entrepreneurial. My brother like put together his first like computer together. Like he built a computer, like a motherboard from scratch or some shit when he was like 8 years old. I was like, what the fuck? Like right when like the internet was becoming a thing, AIM, AOL Instant Messenger, you know.
Age, sex, location.
Oh yeah, the weird like. Oh my god, in the Tumblr era. God, oh, I miss Tumblr. I definitely got groomed on Tumblr, but I'm just saying, like, old school Tumblr was fucking it, though. But yeah, like my brother just didn't know what we were in for. Like he was like, wow, yeah, like I know these people that like are clearly very wealthy. Like I like they clearly have fruit on the tree. Like we should maybe listen to them. And that makes sense. It's like you shouldn't take advice from someone who doesn't have fruit on the tree. That's a general rule of life.
I agree. I got taken in for like not to the level you were because I've read some of the other interviews.
Yeah, mine was whew.
I got taken in on a multi-level marketing for a little while there too, from my uncle who like ran the family business and retired in his mid-50s when he sold it off, like sold the family business off to like a national conglomerate.
Wow.
And coupled like maybe 5-6 years after retirement, he hits me up about doing this MLM. I had no idea what MLMs were at the time.
Which one? Did you know which one it was?
Selling like
What was it? Was like the main product?
Zri. It's like some fucking juice cleanse health. It's like some health food juice. Some
Okay, got it.
like, and you know, he's always been like health fitness guy, but it's like the guy was ran the family business and then was able to retire it in his mid-50s. Like,
So it's like this guy seems he has like the credentials, right?
Right.
So when people have the credentials, or they can show you they have like the credentials via like cars, planes, boats. It's like, okay, it can be flashy, but it's also hard to like not believe them because it's like they're showing you. It's like, how do you?
well, and this is definitely someone who made it in legitimate business. It's not like
He knows this. They know a few things, so you trust them.
It's like, yeah, like, well, I trust your judgment. No one else in my family or anyone else I know was able to run a business successfully enough to retire wealthy in their mid-50s.
Right, exactly. And that's exactly how I felt. I was like, my brother introduced me to all these people, and we're like, wow, like, this must be it. And I was like about to enter my final year of undergrad, and like I ended up dropping out completely and moving to like across the country to Seattle. From Virginia to Seattle, like I dropped out of school, undergrad, and everything. I was like, this is my dream. I want to retire by like 25, like 20 or maybe 30, whatever. And I really didn't know like the first event my brother and I went to for this organization, like together. It was like a couple months after my brother introduced me to these people. I was like, okay, he's like showing me like the board plans and all that of like this business. We go to an like an industry event, I guess, down in Florida. And this guy by the name of John Maxwell, who's like the Christian version of like Tony Robbins, or like I don't know, he was like a motivational speaker, but like very much Christian version of it. I had no idea. And we had this weird kumbaya moment on Sunday. I was like basically forced to go to some like Sunday worship service. I'm like, okay, some kind of spiritual shit happened. I don't know what it was. Was I drugged? I have no idea. Like there was communion. I'm like, what was in this little shot of grape juice? It might have been something else. I have no idea.
Little GHB. That's where you got the taste for it, right?
Correct. I love GHB.
Body of Christ. Oh.
Yes, correct. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. And I was like, okay, I guess I gotta be like a good Christian girl. Like that's the way to be like rich. Like I want to retire young. I don't want to fucking work for the rest of my life. Like or like in at least work in the traditional way. So I went with it, and I trusted my brother.
I gotta ask one quick question right now. What's stopping you from retiring right now?
I just love what I do so much.
Okay.
Honestly, I have a huge passion for porn and the industry, and like truly creating a product that is quality. But also, like I in general have a passion for ushering people either within or into this industry in a very safe and informed way. And I very much take it as a huge compliment that people ask for my advice and input on things. And I'm like, hey, maybe this isn't for you. Because if I turn people away from this industry, then I feel like I've done a good job. If it's truly not for them.
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree.
And I'm being honest. Then I'm truly being honest. Like this is really tough work. Girls that shoot studio strictly, you're shooting 8+ scenes a month, which
no one is surviving on Studio Strictly anymore. No one.
And I think a lot of like agencies, like sorry, like huge tangent, but like going kind of circling back to like what I mentioned in the beginning, like shooting pro scenes. I'm like, do I go with an agency? Do I go just directly to producers? I don't know any producers, but it's like people do that all the time now. You just like, hey, like book me for this, or like you kind of get enmeshed in these circles very quickly. And it's like, hey, and you get paid way more. You don't get your agent doesn't get a cut, and your agent's like kind of lowballing you and forcing you to work, not forcing you, but a lot of agents want you to work a certain amount of scenes per month so that they make that their money.
Right. Well, and unfortunately, because of the high turnover in this industry, a lot of agents look at their talent as you're a commodity I need to exploit as fast as I can because you may not be here in 6 months.
Right. So in me talking with agents and agencies, like porn agencies, it's very interesting because it's like they're like, listen, Cami, we're not desperate. I'm like, listen, dude, I'm also not desperate. Like, I literally don't need to do this. Like, I literally don't need to do this. Like, I just want to do it for the exposure, for the experience. I want to be on set. I want to know what it feels like because, hey, what if one day I want to run a production company or whatever? I want to have that experience and that credential, especially amongst my peers that have shot mainstream, because there's kind of this weird animosity between, maybe it's me.
No, it exists.
Right,
I talk to people on both sides of the fence, and I talk to people that do both. There's definitely some stigma and animosity with the full-time OF creators because
It's like you didn't earn your. It's like feeling like you didn't earn your keep, or you didn't earn.
I don't even know if it's that. It's the unfound stigma of, well, you don't have people holding you accountable to 2257 paperwork. You don't have people holding you accountable to proper testing.
Yeah.
So you can cut corners because there's no oversight. And then, oh, you're potentially endangering the pool because there's no oversight on what you're doing.
But the same can be said about girls that do studio that also do full-time, full-service sex work.
Oh, yeah. Well, that is a whole interesting thing because, so when I first got in, I've been around since 2010.
Mm-hmm. And those I used to do full disclaimer, I used to do full service sex work. I've done everything. But I do think it's like a weird elephant in the room.
Oh.
Like, what's the...
So when I first got in, there were definitely people doing full service. Like, there definitely people were.
Yeah.
No one talked about it. Everyone adamantly denied it. Everyone.
Don't ask, don't tell kind of thing. Yeah.
It was completely don't ask, don't tell. Like,
I'm gonna get a clean test. Okay.
Right. Like, if someone got busted doing full service, like, it would be like gossip around the fucking campfire. Even though everybody fucking knew.
Yeah.
It's become much more socially acceptable to be a full service sex worker now and a performer.
Right.
But it's still, the reason the stigma was there in the first place was potentially contaminating the fucking pool. Also, 10 years ago, standard tests were every 28 days, not 14.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was only a monthly test.
But I feel like even still people treat it like, oh, as long as I have like a green pass, I'm good. I feel like we need to talk about exposure. It's like, even if you're not doing full service sex work, if you're like hooking it, if like your partner, if you have a regular partner that doesn't get tested regularly, it's like, how do you know they're not like fucking around on you either? Then that's like, and also endangering the pool. So it's like, I don't really work with anybody who, I think the bridge between independent creators and studio like performers is kind of getting bridged more and more closely, I think, with trying to standardize testing, especially with pass and everything.
For people that are handling it professionally, yes.
That's true.
But like, there are definitely some creators that aren't handling it professionally and they're giving other creators a bad name. Like, I was at AVN, I was just bullshitting around with some people, and like, I did not go get a full panel test before AVN, and I was
right before AVN was the huge moratorium, like really like a few weeks before AVN.
Right. And I was joking with some girls like, yo, I'm not putting out, I didn't get a test. And like, one girl like kind of like grabbed my arm, like, I don't have one either, it's okay. I'm like, whoa.
Red flag.
Like, I'm super good now. I'm super good to be like, nah, I'm cool.
I was like kind of kidding, but like now I'm like, actually, like,
yeah, like, this was haha me being funny. I wasn't,
I wasn't actually waiting for an answer, but you gave me a genuine answer, and I don't like it.
Yeah, it legitimately makes me uncomfortable right now.
Yeah.
And especially that you don't know me. You were going to be that forward about like being like, I don't got a test, it's cool. And the person I was hanging out with like is a booker and a director for a fairly big company. So it's like me and him bumming around together. And she says this in front of both of us. I'm just like, the fuck.
Yeah.
The fuck.
And that's what I always wondered. It's like, girls that do full service sex work, I think you should do like do it, fucking do it. But it's like, are girls, are folks in general, are you like separating the time between? I feel like I wanted to talk to my publicist about, like, I just don't want to be seen as like someone who's putting it down. I'm like, I literally did this same type of work for quite a while.
Well, but it's about being safe.
Yeah, exposure, right? So it's like, even if you did get a test, even if the industry was still 28 days, what matters the most is your exposure. Who are you exposing yourself to? So it's like, are you seeing clients in between? Like, you get tested, then you see a client that's not tested. It's like, how does that work?
Well, the problem is...
that's the elephant in the room for me. I'm like, how does that work?
The problem is, I feel like a lot of people that are performers that are doing full service are doing the full service end of things as a survival method. They're not getting booked enough for studio work. They may not have the hustle to do an OnlyFans. So this is their survival method.
Fair.
So it's like, I don't want to shit on their survival method, But
No, I was originally a survival sex worker because I literally like I when I was became a stripper, I literally worked day shift because we got free lunch and like it was also a steakhouse and like they had really great salmon. So I ate seafood and I literally just got free lunch every day for working day shift because no one wanted to work it and that was like the incentive to work day shift. You get free lunch, you get like whatever you want on the menu for lunch for free. And I was like, I literally can't put food on the table. Like, I didn't necessarily come from money, but I wasn't poor growing up. I just didn't have the support of my parents. They're like, okay, you're like 18, you're like, good luck.
well, and I get that, like that mentality of like, yo, we came to this country to give you a better life. We put in our work.
Right, exactly. Like, and they definitely still supported me for quite some. I've been through some rough times, and my parents still lent me money, which I'm like, I don't think most parents would.
Right, unless you had it in abundance. And sometimes even if you have it in abundance, these motherfuckers are cheap.
Yeah, my parents were very much like because they came from a third world country. It's like they didn't want to like help me too much or like give me too much of a cushion, which I think my parents did a really good job of kind of helping me through some rough times without giving me like a handout per se. So for that, I really commend them for. I think they raised me right, to be honest.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and like I think, and people say constantly like, "Oh, your parents must be proud." I'm like, honestly, they are because I'm emotionally, financially, physically stable in my life. So it's like,
And then at the end of
my
the
life
day,
is pretty boring, honestly. I'm like people. I live so vicariously through my friends. Like I met a couple girls yesterday at the hotel I'm at because it's a hotel that a lot of performers kind of like to hang out at the rooftop pool or whatever because it's a nude pool. So they hang out there, and I was like, it's just funny because it's like, I lost my train of thought completely.
well, and the people that are like, oh, are your parents proud? Fuck, who cares? It's your life.
Yeah, it's like, are you an adult or are you? Because I feel like that's very childish to be like trying to make decisions based on what the consensus of what your parents think. I'm like, that feels like very childish behavior. Like, cut the umbilical cord, dude.
Right?
Like,
They already shat you out into the world. Like,
yeah, you know,
they can't put you back in, and it's a little late to abort you.
correct. It's a little too late. Correct.
So I don't know what you're worried about. Like, live life for you. Like, I have friends back in the Midwest who are just like, but my family's here. I'm miserable, but my family's here. Like, live life for you, bro.
Yeah, they plan their whole life and like literally where they live around their family. I'm like, couldn't it be me? And like my parents, like it took quite some time for them to kind of come around to it. At least for my mom, especially my mom literally told me in the beginning, she's like, "Dude, you need help. Like you need to go to a psychiatric center. You need to be like really like fucking like involuntarily like admitted to a psychiatric hospital." I was like, I don't think so. I was like, no, I'm just a sexual being. I'm like, just because you and dad like don't have sex ever doesn't mean like I have a problem.
Right. Oh,
But
and
it doesn't mean you have a problem either. Like if you're perfectly happy, who am I to rain on that parade? Because I've talked to my mom.
but is she really happy, or is she just, this is how it is?
I don't know. Like I think they just don't know what they don't know. You know.
Well, and that's often the problem. Is
And that's valid, and that's fine. Like
it's sad. It's sad.
It's not how I'm gonna live my life, but I am also by no means hypersexual. Like I think I try to like it's like I'm sure you've noticed like it's like I feel like sometimes I try to play a more hypersexual role, but at the end of the day, I'm very honest with my fans. I'm like, hey, I'm like very much a demisexual, and being in this industry as a very demisexual, sapiosexual is kind of difficult, especially as I'm expanding and working with other people. I'm like, God, I hope I don't catch feelings for someone.
Or even worse, like, oh, you're dumb as a bag of hammers. I'm really not attracted to you.
Like the pussy is cactus energy. I'm like, it's a desert. I'm like, oh.
It's like, oh, fuck, bro, you can't put two and two. Fuck.
I'm like, oh, there's nothing about you that's like.
It's like, oh. But that's the thing, it is a performance.
Yeah, but it goes the other way too, exactly, and that's how like thankfully I'm able, I think now to separate emotions from it too, because I think for me sex was so emotional and like just tied me to a person, but it's been really interesting to kind of exploring myself and my own boundaries within the industry, like literally as of this week, and I'm like, wow, look at me go, look at us go,
Right, and then that will just lead to greater success of being able to have that disconnect, because if you're the weird girl who catches feelings for all her co-stars, people will talk about that shit too.
Yeah, and thankfully I'm in such a nice. It's like, oh yeah, I was telling like the other girls. It's like I live so vicariously through with these girls, like the girls I met yesterday at the rooftop at my hotel pool. Because they're like, oh, we gotta go on this like, FBI mission. I'm like, I have no idea what they were up to, but like probably just like figure out where some guy was at or what he was doing. I have no idea. I'm like, that's so interesting. I'm like, my life is so boring. I'm in such a very nice, stable relationship, like with another person that's now in this industry and is now thriving in his end of it, in a completely different spectrum of it. And we're both like exploring our sexuality together and separately. And I think that's so fucking beautiful. Like,
It
I think
is.
very few people get to have that opportunity. And I think that's kind of what a lot of my brand is. It's like, it's not like a GFE style, like, oh, let me pretend to be your girlfriend. Like, not me. Like, it's more of like, hey, I'm like your best friend's girlfriend that like you kind of wish you could fuck, but like I'll talk to you about my sex life. And I think it's very transparent and honest because it's like I don't want to pretend to like
Well, and the authenticity fucking matters. Like,
right.
because I think these dudes, a lot of them can smell when it's like, oh, you're just completely inauthentic.
Right. Yeah. No. I tell a lot of guys off on my OnlyFans. I'm like, why are you sending me a dick pic? Like, just randomly.
Well, and
Like,
because
look, hey, like, imagine if I was someone else. Like, I'm like, you should probably good. I mean, I know you're seeing my porn, but I didn't necessarily consent to seeing your dick. Just right off the bat, I'm like, whoa,
Yeah.
coming on real strong, dude.
yeah, like, and then the best part is, even if you were single, even if you were looking, that's not what's bringing you to the table if you wanted to be involved with someone.
Right. It is still at the end of the day. I am still like I hate to call myself a performer because I don't do anything that's performative, but it's like at the same time, it's like
Well, I mean, I've not seen any of your content, so
oh no, fair.
But I'm saying, are you getting in positions to open up for the camera?
Correct.
So it is
I'm a
performative.
professional.
Yeah.
Right. And like that's what I start my partner said the same fucking shit. Because I'm like, Lev, like I don't know if I want to do pro scenes because then I won't be an amateur creator anymore. And he's like, Cami, like at this level, not just the income you're making, but like how you're professional. You show up things to I mean, I was 5 minutes late to this, but that was
But I got texts 15 minutes out, 20 minutes out, like,
oh, I'm very communicative. I'm like, hey, and I think most people are not. I got no call, no show twice this week by actual performers, which is crazy.
oh, it happens.
I was like, what the? I'm like, are these girls okay? I'm actually worried. I'm like, if someone no calls, no shows me in general, I'm like, are you alive? Like, did something happen?
So a little inside baseball about this show. There's a reason I keep multiple episodes in the can, and it's not. This won't be out for weeks because
Yeah,
people no call, no show all the fucking time.
same. Yeah, I have a whole. I have like probably like a 3-month backlog of content constantly because I want to have that buffer.
Exactly, but also like that's when you're like, oh, I'm gonna be 10 minutes late. I'm like, that's cool.
Like I'm chilling with a cigar. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I'm stuck at the Sunset Boulevard. I'm like,
Yeah. Like you and
I'm like,
what's
so close.
I had Melissa Stratton on Monday, and she did the same thing. She was like, I'm 5 minutes late. I'm like, I'm just having a cigar.
And she came from the cam community too. Yeah, because she's big in the cam. I love her. I've wanted to work with her for so long. I'm like, oh, listen.
Well, I think you're both in LA right now, so you should try to make that happen.
I think she moved. Oh yeah, or no, she comes out here pretty often.
Yeah, she's Midwest based,
very
so
often, very often. So.
But yeah, you both are here and make a love connection.
No, I know.
But
especially with me shooting studio, like that was my biggest hesitation. It's like people will no longer view me as an amateur creator. I'm like, we're literally shooting 4K with a crazy like he has a crazy POV rig. Like I like it's patented. Okay, well, for me it's patented, but like I won't describe what it is, but it's a very unique POV. It's custom made and everything. Our POV rig for him. So it's like we are no longer like I don't know what for me, the definition of amateur, I think, is someone who hasn't done studio work. I'm like, no.
No. See,
amateur is like someone that's shooting on iPhone 8. That's like,
if this was mainstream, you'd be an indie filmmaker.
Got it. Yeah. I'm at least indie.
Right. And
not
then
amateur anymore.
well, because people like want to think in mainstream, like, oh, an indie film's some like $50,000 student film. No, indie films have multi-million-dollar budgets these days.
That's fair.
They're just not put out by a major studio. So like
Netflix kind of I feel like technically like a lot of their in-house stuff is kind of indie.
Oh, a lot of times
experimental in a sense.
A lot of times what Netflix does is just buys the distribution rights. They don't even film it themselves.
That's right.
So it truly is indie. Like that's what like when Lionsgate or New Line puts shit out, those independent studios are owned by a major studio.
Right.
That's just their indie brand.
Right.
But they're just in a lot of cases doing the distribution deal. They're
right.
They were independently financed, and then so I feel like we just need to normalize the idea of the indie porn creator.
Yes, so I'm at the very least indie porn quality because I'm like I ain't shooting on iPhone. I'm like we need to have 4K. We need to have the good resolution. We don't want we want image stabilization. We're not having like shaky iPhone footage with a guy breathing into the mic really hard.
Oh, believe me, I edit people's content. Oh,
I
get varying degrees like. I was editing stuff for what was supposed to be a professional production, and it was just like, the fuck is happening here?
What is this?
Like, I was on set. They had a full crew. The fuck is this?
Really?
Yeah.
Even on a pro set. Wow.
I mean, I'm not trying to talk shit about my client, but it was just like, there were things going on where it's just like,
I just like new people or people that grain to the, I don't know.
I don't want to talk shit about people that are paying me, but.
Oh, no, but like you've seen all kinds of things, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. I've seen straight OnlyFans content that was shot on 3 iPhones with 3 studio performers. Actually, 2 studio performers and a studio director acting as male talent. And I had parts where I just had to chop it out because it was all just male talent ass.
Oh, no. Like, was it tripod footage?
So, like, it was tripod, and then, like, they would occasionally handheld, one of them would handheld one
POV
of the...
kind of thing?
Yeah, POV. Oh. And it's like, all the tripod shots, she wasn't opened up to the camera for the pussy eating, and it was just...
So it's just, like...
all his ass.
Leg or ass. Oh,
yeah, it's like,
God.
Thigh or his ass. Like...
Oh, no.
And I'm just like, well, we're just gonna chop this right the fuck out.
Yeah.
That's my job as an editor, but...
And I mean, that's why I've been so, like, it's been difficult for me to, like, want to work with male talent to begin with, separate from my partner, because I'm like, I trust my partner to hold a camera and not breathe into it. And, like, dude, he has an art background, so he understands composition, lighting, like, he understands. He's a painter, oil painter, so he understands it, but those concepts still apply in, like, videography. It's still
100% composition matters.
Correct. It's like centered or what's 3/4, what's 1/4, right?
Right. Or, hey, check your fucking background.
Correct. Like, are you backlit? Like, do you look like shit?
Well,
I saw a guy today that was like, I'm being artsy with this performer. I'm like, no, you're just backlit and all you see is your shadow. Sorry. All you see is your shadow. And it's like, that's not artsy. That's poorly lit. You can't see anything that's going on.
I definitely edited a scene where, like, one of the crew just walks to the background.
Oh, no. That's horrifying. I would be horrified.
I'm just like, well, I guess I'm just punching this shot in.
Right.
But it's just like...
But it's like, yeah, I didn't trust, like, another guy to hold the camera.
So why don't you just have your partner hold camera for your boy-girl scenes?
I don't know if I'm ready for that.
Why?
That's a different step, though. It's like, we're working...
No, you guys are professionals. Why is that a different step?
Because I think the emotion, I think him and I still associate sex with each other as emotional. Because...
But you're willing to swap with other people's. I mean, I'm not trying to push you in. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
No. Oh, and I appreciate that. But, like, we talked about that, too. I'm like, I don't think soon enough we would not be opposed to it, but I think we just need more time.
I think we should just jump in feet first. Like, find
the wolves, yeah.
Like, find someone you're both comfortable with. Obviously, don't just do it with some fucking random male talent.
Yeah, like, I did my research. I worked with this guy, Growth Master. He's fantastic. I love Australians, by the way. 7 inches girth. So I was like, I am really just...
like a fucking Coke can.
It's pretty much the size of this wine bottle, I'd say, almost.
Jesus.
Like it was 7 inches circumference. So
Jesus.
Yeah, I was like, wow, this is this might leave a bruise.
Might?
A bruise or a tear. It didn't. Lots of lube, lots of prep, taking his time. Like, what?
I'm sure he's used to it. Like,
yeah, and I found out about him through Joanna Angel, who's one of my mutuals on Twitter, and I was like, okay, if she works with him, and my friend Kazumi, I'm like, okay, then I think he's valid. He took his time, and I was like, hey, look, I'm gonna fluff. Like, I offered to fluff him in between, which I think is not standard, and you shouldn't, I think, as a male talent, ask or assume that, because that is kind of awkward, like to fluff someone off camera when it's not being filmed. But I'm like, you know what? This is part of the job for me. To each their own, but I offered. I think if someone offers, that's fine. But like, I don't think you should ask that.
Maybe it depends on the rapport. Like, I think it's a read the room situation. Like, and also, I'm talking to someone who's never been male talent.
Okay,
but if you're struggling and this is actively causing everyone to not be able to go home, there's no harm in politely being like, "Hey, do you mind?" And if you say no, don't get upset about it.
Yeah, like, don't take it personally, but also it's like, it's also part of, like, let's get this done sooner rather than later.
As I've said a million times on the show, every porn crew wants to just go home.
Correct. I'm like, we want to show up on time. We want everyone to show up on time and then leave.
Well,
at a decent time.
Especially on studio work, we're all paid a day rate. We're not paid hourly.
And talent is too. It's everyone, makeup, everyone's like a day rate.
Right, exactly. So if I can make the same money in 4 hours versus 12, I will happily take that 4.
And that's what I get nervous about too, doing studio work. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be here for 6 to 8 hours. Oh my god, my pussy's gonna be dead.
You're gonna be standing around for most of it.
I figured it's a lot of like hurry up and wait.
Yeah, there's a lot of hurry up and wait. There's a lot of resetting. There's a lot of moving parts.
Position, like, oh, okay, let's do let's get him hard for stills. Okay, let's do stills first, and blah blah.
I mean, and that honestly all depends on who you're working for, because of all the companies I've worked for over the years, only one of them in recent memory does sex stills.
Oh, really?
Because there's not many box covers anymore.
That's true.
There's not many like
verticals are really taking like vertical format in general and just like video format is
right. And the thing about it is the cameras are so high res these days. A lot of times they could just take a fucking freeze frame.
That's true.
From the footage.
I like to avoid that too. Like I'm like, even on my camera, I'm like, well, I guess I could do that more often. But I like little trailers. I think that's more interactive and it gets better engagement than.
Oh, I agree. But
stills.
But the sex stills were for box covers.
That makes more sense.
Or to go to magazines.
That makes way more sense.
And since neither one of those really exist anymore, like
I would love to have a VHS of me though. Like I want a whole porn scene, a full scene of me shot in VHS. I think it'd be cool.
Start hitting pawn shops and try to find an old VHS
recorder. Yeah, like the on the shoulder, like when you're like, a birthday party when you're 8 years old. Oops. Are we good still?
Yeah, we're good. Sorry. She's getting excited and kicking my camera. And I know.
I'm like, oh my god, my foot.
My angle.
Oh no, I'm ruining his angles. Oh my god.
As long as you don't kick the power cord out of it, which a couple people have done.
Yes, I'm trying my best.
Please don't.
I get footsies with everything. I'm like, oh, my feet are playful.
But yeah, a lot of it for the talent is just hurry up and wait, because it's like, hey, we're resetting positions. Generally, depending on who you're working for, there's multiple scenes happening in the same location in a day.
True.
So it's like, oh, hey, we're knocking out scene 1. Your call time's probably an hour or 2 before that scene wraps, so you could do hair and makeup.
Oh, wow. So they're trying to really kind of like, not like cross everything on over, but kind of like make the most
right, because like they're paying so much to rent whatever house,
space.
Rent the space. So it's like, okay, well, if we can get 2 scenes out of this today, it's worthwhile. So like, yeah, you may be there for 6 hours, but a lot of it is probably going to be sitting around and waiting or bullshitting. Like,
this is helpful for me. This is my therapy session, actually. My pre-pro scene therapy session.
Oh shit! Should I be charging you for this?
Probably.
Neat.
I'll get you back with another bottle of wine. Don't worry.
Oh, my rate's definitely more than that.
Or do you like Pappy?
Yes.
You like bourbon? Like whiskey? I gather.
Yeah.
I used to be quite the whiskey and bourbon connoisseur back in my day.
Yeah. No, I definitely would. Yeah, I would definitely like some Pappy.
Yeah, I think I have a couple bottles at home because I get the I do the lottery because like Pappy, it's like a whole fucking lottery system for the most part.
I know. I don't fuck with it.
You don't fuck with it? You don't even try? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I still get the emails from like North and South Carolina from like different little ABC stores, and like I get put on little mailings like, oh, hello, Cami, like it's time for our spring like lottery. Please email us back your name and number if you would like to be entered.
LA doesn't do lotteries for shit like that. So when the liquor stores get them on consignment, they just turn around and gray market price them.
I mean, just
yeah. So like they, like a bottle of Pappy is $200 retail.
Yeah, like if that.
Right, like I think the 15's at $200 retail.
Yeah.
So they'll turn around,
which is fine.
Right. For what it is, that is definitely fine. But they will turn around and instead of doing a lottery at like the retail price, they will just turn around and be like, yeah, it's on the shelf, $1,500.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
What's crazy is like, since you're obviously a bit of a bourbon person, like getting WL Weller's Special Reserve in LA is generally over $100 a bottle.
Okay.
Like that's a $26 bottle.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Because they can.
These store like,
well, because
you can get that like any time at any AP store. It's just a Pappy. Well, some Weller will be on the lottery. It depends on which ones, but like a lot of them will be on the shelves. And if you go to like smaller towns or like the beach towns, like I had a property out on like the coast of Carolina for a while, and you could find everything there, and it was fucking weird. They would have Pappy in the case. I'm like, you just kept this? And they're like, yeah, no one wanted it.
Oh, it's crazy when people don't know.
Because they just want rum or like vodka or something because it's a beach town. They don't fucking know. They don't fucking know. I'm like, what the fuck?
Oh no,
My brain hurts. My heart. My everything hurts.
people just don't fucking know. Like hell, last time I was in Austin, I got a handle of Weller for $40.
Not bad.
Like that's retail.
I'm surprised in like, well, I guess Austin, Texas is kind of more.
Well, it was like the suburbs of Austin.
Oh yeah.
And they didn't have it on the shelf. I just saw the tag for it. I'm like, yo, do you guys have Weller?
By chance, like, is this in stock?
Yeah, is this in stock? They're like, what color label? I'm like, just the green, just the special reserve. They're like, well, let me go look. And come out like, yeah, we have this bottle. Like, how much is it? And they're like, 40. I'm like,
Oh, mine now. Oh my god, I would freak out.
It was like a cartoon. Like, it was a puff of smoke and it was in my hands. I'm like, mine.
Do you like old fashions?
I do.
You have to tell me after, like, where you can get a good old fashioned around here because
I have a spot.
Yeah, they don't. I'm very particular with my old fashioned.
Oh no. So actually, I'm wearing their hat right now.
Got it. Okay.
Like, it's my local. People know.
Got it. Okay.
Lost Property in Hollywood is a like dimly lit cocktail bar. Like
I love them.
Yeah, it is my go-to. It is my spot. Like my go.
I like kind of divey bars that have more of a cocktail knowledge. You know what I mean?
Like this, I wouldn't call this a dive.
Okay.
It's not upscale. It's like legitimate. Like it's legitimate. Like a real service industry bar. Like all the servers are like real service industry. The owner is from Wales and has bartended all over the world.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like he tells stories about like bartending like clubs in Greece in his 20s and shit like that.
Oh my god, what a life!
Yeah,
wow.
And they're like a legitimate cocktail bar. Like my go-to cocktail there is a New York sour.
Oh really?
Yeah,
sours are good.
Oh yeah, phenomenal. Like egg whites, the whole like a real
that and like a pisco. So I'm from Peru, so like pisco sours. I'm like, if I find a place with pisco, I'm like, I found my place.
They might have it. They have
a lot of places don't have pisco, but like a lot of like whiskey bourbon bars will have pisco because it's a very niche kind of liquor.
I wouldn't put it past them like to have because
interesting.
It is a legit like cocktail bar.
Awesome. Okay.
And that's like why I wear the hat all the time on air.
Fair. Like free promo.
Oh no, it really is, and like they sometimes count my
it. Why not?
And they sometimes count my drink. So
I'm like, hello, I'm Cami Strella.
I'll make introductions.
I'm moving here soon.
I will happily roll through there with you. I will happily roll through there with you and make introductions.
Mm-hmm. I know, like, because I used to. I mean, when I would work, when I worked as a cocktail waitress and as a stripper, I'd go to service bars all the time. Like service industry places all the time, and it was really cool because it's like, oh, I'm considered a service industry as a stripper. That's cool.
Well, part of the problem with service industry in a lot of LA spots is a lot of people that are working service industry in the city are consider themselves impoverished artists. This isn't their job. This is just how they pay their bills. So in a lot of places, unless you go real high end, you just get shit service.
Yeah.
And like one of the things I love about LP is. I don't know why I'm basically doing free ads for my buddies.
That's okay. No, I asked you genuinely because I'm like, hey, I might be a patron out here more often very soon.
They like everyone who works there is like a legitimate bartender. Like they're like some of them do pursue acting and shit like that, but like they don't look at this as like, oh, this is just what I'm doing till I make it. Got it.
Yeah. I know that. Yeah.
Actually, that bar might get you in trouble. One of the bartenders there's ex-military.
Oh shit! Don't tell me now. I'll probably film a sex tape with them. I'm like, sign my release. All right, we're good.
I mean,
it's something I really started doing because actually, like, one of your episodes, because it's like people just tag on OnlyFans like that's good enough, right? I'm like, no, it's not.
No,
legally, I'm like, you need to like say that you saw my ID and that you saw I'm a consenting adult, so. Yeah.
Well, and that's
you know, normalize that a little more. Like, it's very easy. Even like there's a 2257 app.
Yeah.
Download it. It's literally free. Like that's the bare minimum. It's so easy.
I know, and it's one of those things where like once again, where OnlyFans is fucked up with compliance, that you're checking a box saying, "Oh, I have this paperwork." Like. That's not real legal verification if the government actually wanted to get involved.
Yeah, and they only require one form of in general, like the 257. I think most 257s only require like one form of ID. Like porn studios require like two, so they call them the bunny ears.
Yep.
You know, your passport or whatever, two forms of ID. But like you only see like one ID and like to show that you verify that information from somebody, and also like a content trade agreement that's like, hey, we both own the content. What are like what do we consent to? Like I have a Pornhub, so it's like, do you consent to being on my a tube site? So I had someone like write up I think it might have been the same.
Federosi?
Yeah, that had like there was a portion that's like, hey, do you consent to being on a tube site for like X amount of minutes? You know what I mean? For a trailer, because no one puts full scenes on Pornhub anymore.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Unless it's a MindGeek product, and occasionally they'll put some back catalog up.
Right, for publicity. But I'm like, I'm fingers crossed for the future of MindGeek. Truly, I'm like, I have high hopes, I guess, for the future of MindGeek. You don't.
Yeah, I'm skeptical because like.
Like owners, yeah, like that whole buyout was like, wow, that like caught it. Like I have friends who are like Pornhub royalty, like couples, like a few of my couple friends that are like been on Pornhub for years and like in the top 10 on Pornhub. I'm like, wow, okay, what does this mean to you? So it's like,
it's one of those things we got to roll with the punches. Like I've been around long enough. When I got in, Pornhub was the fucking enemy because that was when in the piracy days.
Free porn was not like getting porn for free. Like pornography, any sort of pornography, even just tits for free was never a thing. Like you had to go to like 7-Eleven or like a convenience store, buy the magazines off the shelf, and they had covers, right?
Or you could find it, but it wasn't like, oh, I went to this one clearinghouse. Like I'm, as I said, an old school computer nerd. Like you through word of mouth would know about BBSs that you could log into and like
right,
like, on dial up, and watching stills on dial up was
it's like.
Yeah, and I'm like, at 16, I would pop before like finish loading.
I remember. I think I saw like my first like picture of like porn. I think AON semester. It was like AON semester to AIM days, and I was like, "What is this?" And it was like just like loading like one pixel at a time. It was like,
yeah, it was.
It's funny as fuck though.
And so when I got in, the hub was definitely like the fucking enemy. They were stealing my friend's content. Because I was working for.
Well, it was completely unmoderated. I mean, even like literally, there's a YouTuber the same way.
Yeah.
No one talks about that shit either. So I'm like,
Yeah, and it was just fucking the Wild West. And then they legitimized their act, but I mean, the damage was already done. Like,
right.
Wicked. They already owned Wicked Digital Playground. They owned Playboy Plus.
Right.
Like, they bought out. They basically made so many people's content worthless, they were able to buy these companies for pennies on the dollar.
Right.
But when they realized that they're the only game in town, they're like, well, we have to shape up now because otherwise people are going to figure out something else. And
yeah, I think like a lot of online companies, it's like they just had a concept and like it got like people just ran with it and like they didn't really quite know the extent of like popularity. Like you know what I mean?
Well, and OnlyFans is the same way. Like OnlyFans was never set up for the kind of content moderation that they should have legally been doing.
Yeah, just porn. I'm like, oh, it's like fans of other people, like creators in general. Like, oh, like
it was
people. And
it was a Patreon competitor.
Correct.
So like the verification systems and all that shit was just not there.
It's still buggy. It's like you can tag it's like it forces you to tag on the back end. I'm like, you can just tag anyone. I'm like, it's not really like good verification.
No, and even if you're tagging someone,
rely on that. You should not rely on that alone.
Definitely not.
If it's your boyfriend, your partner, your girlfriend, whoever, just get a 2257 from them. Like, it's not that hard.
It's the law.
Literally.
It's literally the fucking law. And also, without that,
break up, then there's no issue, because that happened to me. I'm like, okay, cool, I'm good because I've no issue. I can still sell my content.
Exactly. Because otherwise, well, yes and no. Yes and no. So this is one thing that
they asked me to take it down. They're like, it's yours. It's like to do with you.
Well, it's one of the things that me and Federosi didn't get to touch on much when we had him on recently.
Sure.
But because the legal stature of pornography in other states, your model release may not be binding because you can't have a contract for an illegal act. This is something that Federosi and I talked about when I was still based in Illinois and was looking at starting production.
If you do it in California, is it technically legally binding?
Oh yeah, it's legally binding in California.
I'm like, okay, everyone come see me in California.
Right. In California,
the content I film is in California now, which is weird enough.
So then that's fine. Like that's binding. But when this fucking 10 plus years ago, when I was looking at starting production in Chicago, Federosi told me like, you definitely have to get the 2257 to be federally compliant, but because you cannot have a contract for an illegal act, and because at the state level it's not legal, if the other party says you have to take this down, you don't have a binding legal contract.
Right. It's like NDAs. It's like the whole Stormy Daniels thing. It's like NDAs. It's like an NDA doesn't protect you from something that's illegal.
No contract does.
Well, like I'm like no, like because there's been performers in the industry that like that make their talent or like their co-performers sign a 257 saying like they won't say they have herpes or they won't whatever. It's like so many different stuff like they won't release certain things. I'm like if it's illegal and you inform them, then the NDA is null and void.
Right. Well, and also that's a dumb NDA because at the end of the day, if they violate
like
it,
a sugar daddy. I'm like you're doing like if you're like paying money for sex. I'm like you're doing it technically by the law, an illegal, quote unquote, illegal act.
Right. Well, and
so I'm like,
and that's a dumb NDA because, if I violate that NDA and you sue me, you're proving that I was right.
Right.
Like that is not the purpose of fucking NDAs.
Right.
It's dumb. It's a dumb thing. Like, yeah, I'll sign your NDA, and if I violate it on this thing, you're just going to confirm in the public eye that you fucking people are dumb. It's an intimidation tactic.
You're like admitting guilt. It's an admission of guilt almost. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're suing me for defamation or violating the NDA, well, then you're confirming in the public eye.
You just prove that you did do what you are trying to see someone like that.
Yeah, exactly.
It makes it look stupid.
Right. Exactly. It's an intimidation tactic.
Yeah, I think regardless of where you're at in the United States, wherever, you should at least just get a 2257.
No, you need to be for federal compliance. But it's one of those things where, like, if you film it in another state and your scene partner says, hey, take that down, you may have no recourse but to take that down.
Interesting.
The way Federosi spun it to me 10 years ago was, like, you can't say I'm selling you a kilo of cocaine. And we sign a contract that you're going to sell me a kilo of cocaine.
Right.
And then you don't sell me a kilo of cocaine. I have no legal recourse to go after you because you violated the contract.
Yeah. That's how like the black market of like social media kind of works too. It's like it's so weird because like people buy like verified accounts, people buy like all kinds of shit, and then there's no like you can get scammed because there's no one to really like. It's such a gray area. It's like if you don't provide the service, it's not really is it a legal service to begin with? I don't know.
Well, there's definitely no recourse for it because it's just like, oh, they didn't deliver, which is a great segue into your music career.
Oh, yeah. My music career, I have one hit on Spotify.
Supposedly.
Allegedly.
So
that is not valid.
In doing a little research for this podcast.
Yes, tell me.
I went to I Googled some of your previous I Googled you and some of your previous interviews, and a bunch of music stuff came up.
Yes.
And I got your official bio from your publicist that mentioned nothing about music.
No, you're like, what the fuck? Did this girl do music? Did she do ASMR? Like, what the fuck? Instrumental music?
Like, she did music? Like, why is this not in her bio? Why is she not promoting this? Like, and then I go to click on the links, and it's this random music sites, and it's...
That has my name attached, but it's not, like, of me.
Oh, but it has photos of you, like, stock photos that are used on other publicity.
Right.
The articles have obvious grammatical errors, like at points where like his career, and then
I'm like, I am a she/her.
Oh no, but it was
I identify as she/her.
It was she/her later in the same article.
Oh God, horrifying.
So it's like
I can't bear to look at them.
Yeah, it's just like bad grammatical errors, and I'm just like,
let me explain.
Well, let me.
Yeah, wait, tell me more. Wait.
So I initially
horrified.
I initially went to text your publicist and be like, so what is up with this? And he didn't get back to me before the show.
Oh God, he's like, what the fuck?
And so I'm like, is this girl a genius? Is she just like gaming SEO? I didn't.
Also that.
I'm like, because these are the top hits that come besides your fucking your porn links. This is some of the top shit that comes up.
And like random articles of like that are legitimate, that are like of me.
Yeah, of you. About, as long as you don't click on the fucking link looks good. It's like,
yeah.
Like, Cami's fucking making it in, mainstream music.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
So I'm like, is this girl just gaming SEO? Like, I have to find out. Yeah. And then we talked about it a little bit off air, and then it was just like, oh, I would have never guessed that was why this exists.
So I'll explain.
Please.
So I mean, it's not a secret. I think a lot of people know that a lot of people pay for verification on social media, like especially Instagram, because like girls and people like me in the industry get deleted all the time. And it got pitched to me by a company, and they were like, "Oh, we'll get you verified, but you have to go the artist route." I'm like, "What does that mean? The
So-
artist route."
How did this company reach out to you? Like, was this a DM slide? Was this through like
A DM slide, and they seemed legitimate. I'm like, okay, I won't say who they are, but like they have a podcast as well, and it has also features a lot of
she's outing me on my own show? Fuck.
no, it also features a lot of like people in the, like especially women in the industry. And I was like, okay, like they seem legit, and like people pay thousands. I paid thousands of dollars to get hopefully verified on Instagram, and they said like the easiest way is to do the artist route, and that's like basically they like pitch you, and this isn't like a secret in maybe from like the main civilian world, but like when the industry like this is if you're like a YouTube vlogger, they will also do this for you. But they want to pitch you as an artist, like as a music artist, because that's the easiest way to get verified. And they basically will publish a bunch of random articles of you in like music related
Websites,
websites,
blogs, shit like that.
They're like, are they legitimate or not? I don't know. But I paid several thousands of dollars to try to get verified, and then it didn't work. And I was like, what the fuck? And like it doesn't. I'm like, these articles are like shit.
Right, and that's probably why it didn't work, because like
they're embarrassing. Like, so I ended up getting a refund actually, because I was like, I like went on them really fucking hard. I was like, you said this would work and it didn't. Like, you promised me. Because I just want to get verified, not for the clout, literally just for like for people that's like, I get a lot of guys and people that like get catfished, that like use my photos and get catfished and try to get scammed. I'm like, I don't want that to continue happening, but it's also, I mean, granted, it's not my fault. I'm like, if you get catfished by an account that has like 3 followers, what you want to tell? Like, use your common sense. Like, I wouldn't like no creator.
they're thinking with their dicks.
No creator, no performer will reach out to you directly in the DMs. Be like, hey, they're not gonna be like, hey, baby, I want to suck your dick. Give me 10 grand. Like, don't send the money. Don't do that.
Oh, definitely not. And on a slight tangent from that shit,
Yeah.
the scammers are fucking wild because obviously I follow a lot of performers, professionally for reasons, obviously, and I will get scam artists who are posing as performers who are legit friends of mine sliding into my DMs.
Wow.
And try to play that like, oh, I want to talk to my my biggest fans. I'm like, and sometimes I'll play along with it just for just to see where it goes. And eventually, like, one of them was posing as Lexi Lore recently.
No.
And it was just like, yo, I know you're not the real Lexi Lore. Do you want to just drop this shit? And like, the real Lexi Lore has my phone number. Like, oh, I don't have your phone number. Like, and then I will go back and like post, like, grab a picture of us together from like a bar or a podcast and be like, that's funny.
Weird.
That's weird.
Weird.
This is you on my podcast. Oh, well, Matt, like, and they just won't drop it. Like, when
really
confronted with undeniable proof that like I know you're not a scammer,
infallible proof.
Like, this is literally the person you're claiming to be sitting across from me at a table in my apartment on camera, talking to me.
Right.
I know you're not, like, because I really want one of them to fucking drop it so I could legitimately talk to them as a human and be like, why are you doing this?
Yeah. I heard of a girl, I saw a tweet today, I think it was like, what was it, crazy catfish? It was like a girl, I don't forget who it was, and she had a catfish play as her, right? And then reach out to her agent and tell her that she was done with working to cancel all her contracts.
Oh, I saw that tweet too.
I forgot who it was, but I was like, holy shit. I'm like, hope it didn't work. I'm like, that's horrifying.
Right? I mean, but if your agent is dumb enough to get taken in by that, you should cancel all your contracts with them.
I support that 100%.
If my agent was like, okay, well, we canceled everything like you told us to, like, the fuck? You're right. You're absolutely right. Cancel everything.
I don't need you anyways. We'll go directly. Yeah. And it's so funny because it's like, I love this era of porn that we're in because it's like the power is so much in the performer's hands. It's like, I see so many girls are like self-booking for production companies or studios, and like, that's fucking awesome. Like, no one's taking a percentage of your cut. You're getting your full rate. You're getting like everything you want. You're working with who you want. And that was it from the beginning too. I think there's a misconception of like, oh, you have to say yes to everything, or like, oh, you just get put with random people. I'm like, yeah, yes and no, you know.
Well, it's definitely yes and no, but there are some performers that definitely do need agents. Like there are some performers that aren't. There's different.
It requires a lot of communication and like being like really on the ball. Like, same thing with like OnlyFans girls. Like sometimes they might need an assistant to like cue their like posts or something, or like, you know what I mean? Like maybe not answer their DMs, but like just like cue their posts for them and just like keep it organized so that they're.
I mean, we've already broken the kayfabe that people have OF management companies.
Oh, that's true.
So like people know about that shit that my listeners do know. So like you don't have to pretend like people aren't fucking.
I call people out too much. I'm like, they're like, if they know they're not being called out on shit, they're like, oh, it's not Cami. Like it would be too obvious. It would be too fucking obvious. Yeah. And honestly, I don't get that many DMs. Because I have a very like low pay-per-view kind of page. Like I offer so much for free, so it's like no one really messages me. They're like, okay, cool, thanks for the free porn.
Right, and you're also not trying to do customs, so.
No, I'm like, sorry, I don't do customs. I don't do like, you know what I mean. It's like I will take your suggestions, but like maybe into consideration. But it's like, But
not everyone
some people need that kind of guidance because if they're not naturally entrepreneurial, they're not naturally on the ball on things, on scheduling. Like I had an assistant for a while, and I'm like, I'm still doing like 90% of the work.
Yeah, that's horrible too.
Why am I doing this? I'm still like micromanaging, but that's just how I am because I take a lot of pride in like it's like owning a McDonald's franchise. I'm like and still being there every day. I'm like I will still be here every day, like because I don't care. I don't care if I pay someone else to do the work. I will still kind of do the work for me.
Well, at the end of the day, unless you're paying, even if you're paying phenomenally well, chances are this person is not going to give as much of a fuck about your product as you do.
Exactly. Like I care, and a lot of like OnlyFans management agencies, like page management, don't care about the subscriber. I'm like, I love my audience. Like I want to give them the most bang for their buck. Like I still want to make like, you know, I want to pay my rent, but I also like I want to give them value for their money. And I think a lot of people try to nickel and dime every little thing. I'm like, that's just not me. Like I build longevity in this industry because I give people value for their money. And like, yeah, I give literally 2 scenes away every week for free, full scenes, like 30-minute scenes every week for free. Because I shoot a lot too, and I love this industry, and I shoot so much with people that I love. So especially with me doing boy girl now with other people, it's like wow, like I'm gonna have so much more like I'm like shifting laterally to be able to do more, and even with and it's on like a more personal note, I think my partner and I talked about this too with Lev Lieben. Him and I definitely have a kink, sort of, so to speak, with shooting content with each other because it's like our finished product is our kink. It's like he's wearing a crazy setup and like a helmet setup in front of his face. I can't even see his face most of the time when we shoot.
Is that a turn off for you?
No, I love it because I put a monitor so I can see myself. I'm like, I can see myself getting fucked constantly. And I also know where I am in frame. So it's easier for like, especially when we do boy, girl scenes, instead of him having to be like, move your right, like, oh, move your right arm. We don't have to do anything. It's literally a mirror for us. So we can like move naturally in frame as we need to.
Also, as an editor, I fucking hate when people give verbal directions. I hate that shit.
You have to cut it out. Yeah, because it's a lot more they have to like listen for and like cut out.
Yeah, and it's either like, oh, I'm just going to cut that section of sex, or I'm going to find something that has a similar fuck sound and then just cut and paste it.
It's that, or like I think it's a difference between that and like being like, oh yeah, get on your like knees and like bend over. I'm like, that's different. Like,
well, yeah, but if that's happening from the person who's the POV shooter, that's cool. When I'm editing studio work and it's the director saying that, it's like
cringe.
It's like, God damn it,
cringe. It's all gotta go. That's all gotta go.
Yeah, it's like, God damn it. Now I'm just like cross dissolving.
Like us 1 second, and it feels it's like awkward because it's like you're in the same position.
Well, because what I'll do at that point is like either I'll do a jump cut and then I'll punch hard in, so it looks like it's a different angle.
So you shoot you like edit scenes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Always looking.
Well, let me know.
Yeah, it's like a lot of girls have like OnlyFans management agencies. I'm like, I ended up just creating my own team of people that like edit my content for me. Because that's the biggest thing is like editing your content. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I don't want to do this on my own. I was going through that, but yeah, some girls definitely need an agency or someone kind of like guiding them what to do because not everyone, which is no shame, not everyone is entrepreneurial.
No, and a lot of people got into this business to not be entrepreneurial.
Yeah, I am OCD. I'm in my DMs like all the time. I'm like, what's going on? What are people saying about me, to me, like for me? I don't know, like like what's going on? I'm very like I like that relationship I build with my like consumer base in general because I'm like, oh, like hey, Craig, like oh my god, you had like a 24-hour shift like in like the barracks, like how was it? Or like oh my god, you're on duty, like how was it? I want to know those things, you know? I want to know because otherwise I feel so out of touch, and that's where I feel like I become disconnected. And the moment I feel disconnected from this industry is the moment I'm out because I need to feel I need to feel connected to my audience constantly. Otherwise, I don't feel like I'm really in this industry.
Well, that's awesome because like that's fucking awesome because so many people are not like that.
I just think that's where I get a lot of my like fix from, I guess.
And that's awesome because, and there's no shade on the people that are like, yo, this is work. I'm here to do my job. And like, I want to punch out.
And that's valid too. That's
It is.
100% valid because you don't need to be all up in your shit all the time. You don't need to be. You don't need to micromanage your shit.
You don't. But it's also like, that's the type of person that if they ask me like, hey, should I get into the industry? I'd be like, in this day and age, probably not.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to get into this industry in 2023, you should be looking at being basically your own production house.
Correct. And that's how like I think we view it because we take so much pride, like my partner and I take so much pride in the content we create. But I don't think like you said earlier, like if you only do studio, I don't think you can survive on this long term.
You can't. You
You can build a brand off just doing studio, but you can't expand a brand off that. Like you're not monetizing it the way you should be. Like look at someone like an idol of mine, Violet Myers, who I'm working with this week. She's done the best of everything. She's done it all. She does it all. And she's a great example of it. You know,
and she hasn't even been around all that long.
fair enough. Yeah. And she does it all. She does it all. And it's like, that's longevity in the industry, you know? She loves her fans. She loves her audience. Like the way she shows appreciation for like, even on Twitter, like how she's replying to like fans, like comments and DMs. I'm like, I love that. And I want to emulate that more.
But that takes a lot of energy, and that is not for everybody.
No.
But it's also one of those things in the modern era, you have to be willing to do that shit if you really want to thrive.
Correct. I'm like, even if you found like an assistant like to post like all your posts for you and like monetize your content for you, but then you're the only one answering your DMs, that's money right there because they know it's you.
Oh, I mean, I just posted a clip with Jessica Ryan talking about that where she's just like, no one's going to be able to emulate my voice.
Same. I'm the same way because I'm like, I went to grad school, so like I couldn't have someone like not a native English speaker or like I speak a very certain way when I text and when I like you know what I mean when I write things out. I'm like, I can't have someone do that for me.
Right, and especially someone who's distracted by running 10 other girls' accounts too.
If not more.
Right.
I tried that route. Like I mean, I'll be honest, like I tried an agency and it was not for me. Like they came to my account because they took a cookie cutter approach and strategy and applied it to my page. I'm like, no. I give away a lot of content, quote unquote giveaway. But I'm like, no. I want them to have quality because I know there's so much the competition is free porn. That's the competition is free porn.
Right. They need the interaction. They need the connection because why else would they come to you? Right. Otherwise, they could just go to the hub and be like, oh, that girl's hot. Pop.
Yeah. But at the same time, I do have a Pornhub account because it is a different audience because that audience on Pornhub is not trying to build a connection. Not all the time, you know. But occasionally, I do get quite a few leads from Pornhub.
Right.
My OnlyFans. But the biggest leads I get are actually Facebook. Secret.
Hey.
Facebook, yeah. It operates just like Instagram for the most part. I mean, it's all owned by the same company, but people underutilize Facebook because they don't want their family and friends finding out because that's usually the platform their family and friends are on. But Facebook, for me, has gotten me so many leads. So if you're a creator and you're wondering if you feel stuck, if like you feel like you're stuck with TikTok, feel like you're stuck with Instagram, whatever, like try a different platform. I'm trialing Pinterest for all, like Pinterest.
Well, and also, if you're trying to do this legitimately, don't be afraid of your friends and family finding out. They're gonna find out.
Yeah.
Like
when I hear that, it's like a girl's like, "Oh, I'm scared of like I don't want to do Facebook because I'm like,
they're going to.
I don't think you. I'm like, boo boo. I need to break it to you, but like your family and friends will find out if they don't already know already.
Yeah, like they're gonna find out. Don't do this if you're afraid about people finding out about it.
Yeah.
Like that's the exact opposite of what you want. You want people to find out.
Right. And my partner, I will say, my partner is a faceless creator, but not because of he doesn't want his family or friends to find out. It's just like a social thing, like a social anxiety thing, and he feels like he can express himself better when he's faceless, which I think is very valid. I'm like, cool. Like I can see that. Like you feel like you can express yourself more openly and be more vulnerable with the internet because you can separate yourself if your face isn't in content.
Well, and
versus like his family and friends are like pretty much know already. So it's
it's one of those things like if you're shooting stuff for a heterosexual audience, most heterosexual males don't give a fuck about seeing what the dude looks like.
yeah, fair enough.
It's just like, oh no, you're a prop. You're a prop to make her look cool.
Yeah.
That's the reality of the situation. Like, and that's why like I laugh at all these like random dudes on the internet. Like, how do I get into porn? Like, dude,
all the time. I'm like, do your fucking work. Like,
well, it's like, dude, is your ego going to be able to handle?
you have to ask. You're probably not fit for this. I'm sorry.
Well, there's definitely that too.
If you have to ask, I'm like, ugh.
There's definitely that too. But also, like, can you deal with the fact that you're not the star? Like, assuming you can do the actual performance end of it, which you probably can't.
Right.
Can you deal with you are not the star of this?
Right.
Like,
there's been some male performers that tweeted recently. I won't say who, but that are like, male performers should get paid more than female performers. I'm like, porn is one of the only industries that women get paid more than men. Like, let us have our fucking bag.
and guess what, bro? If you think you should be paid more, negotiate better.
Yeah, that's on you, boo boo.
Right? That is completely on you. Because there are some male
Your
talent.
agent, your whatever, your decision making. Like, that's on you.
Because there are some male talent that make a lot of money. Like Manuel Ferreira makes a lot of fucking money.
Right. I hear great things about him too.
Yeah. Like there are definitely some male talent that are making quite a bit more than your starting female performer.
Right.
So if you're upset about what you're making, man, figure out your lot in life and figure it out on your own.
Exactly.
There is no male talent union. So like have collective bargaining. No. Fucking negotiate.
Exactly. That and like there's been a few male performers I'm like, wow, I want to fuck you on camera. That have been like, if you're not a feminist in this industry, then like, or feminist, you shouldn't be in this industry. I'm like, valid. I'm like, love that. And it's also like, I've talked to some of them in private. It's like, oh yeah, like I don't want to be like the main thing. Like I'm really just a strong cock. I'm like, I love that. I love that kind of energy because it's like you're not trying to be like the main character, kind of that main character energy vibe.
Yeah.
I'm like, cool. Like,
No,
understand what it takes. You just want to be in this industry because you like it. You like sex. You whatever. But you don't want to be the main character.
exactly.
I very much appreciate that because like I also don't want to be like I like being the like main character, but it's like I want to be equal to. But it's like I don't know. I thrive in this industry because I think I like being the center of attention.
And obviously your partner's okay with his role in it too, which works out fucking great.
He's just on cock. I'm like, cool. He doesn't want his face in anything. I'm like, cool. Excellent.
That is, beautiful synergy.
Exactly. But very few people find that. So I feel like I got very lucky.
Oh.
Very lucky.
Believe me, I know. And all the time I've been in here.
And the whole, yeah.
I've seen so many failed relationships.
And the whole like, guys be like, oh, he quote unquote lets you fuck other guys. I'm like, no. No one lets me do anything because no one owns me. No one owns my body. And he knew that from the beginning.
Right. And
it was my own self-imposed shit as a woman, feeling like I need to protect my partner that was like holding me back. That and like feeling like very few guys can hold a camera. That is kind of valid, actually.
Well, that's why I'm trying to encourage you to get him to hold the camera for your other boy-girl scenes.
Yeah, well, not all male performers can like know how to hold a camera. And they're not used to like not having to breathe into a mic. Like don't breathe into the mic. No one wants to hear the guy huffing and puffing and be like, "Oh God, I'm a nut," you know.
Right. I know. It's
a lot of porn is very like quiet, especially like the faceless porn on Pornhub is very like even the girls like are very quiet. I'm like, why? I'm like screaming. I need to tone it down.
But that also could be like what real sex is for them. And if they've never been on a studio with a director being like, yo, you need to fucking sell this.
You need to be more vocal. And I am very vocal. Like I talk and like I like that banter that my partner I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, holy shit, I'm like, you haven't fucked me like this in a while. Be like, I needed that shit. I'm like, ow, my throat hurts. I'm like, oh, or like I'll gag and be like, oh my god, good thing I didn't eat breakfast. Like I literally would have thrown up. No, I literally say that shit in my porn. I think maybe that's why people like it because it's so realistic. I'm like, good thing I didn't throw up because I literally would have. Like I gagged so hard I threw up empty.
But that's real. But that's real.
Oops.
And
Yeah.
very quiet, diminutive sex might be real for some of these other performers.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And that's where it feels like it's like the term of being performative is a different definition for I think for different people. Like for me, it feels like having a script is performative, or like doing pro scenes is performative. But I also feel like my audience would love to see me do pro porn and would love to see me take different dick because I was like, why not? Like,
Then why aren't you doing it?
I'm doing it now. I'm starting to. I'm doing it. I took one different dick for the first time this week by myself. So I'm like, I'm ready. And it was 7 inches in circumference girth. So I'm very
Wild.
I know. I'm like, I don't know.
It's fucking wild.
Could you take that? Could you take it?
Oh, definitely not. I can't take this. So
Same. Not in my ass. Oh my god. Like if you're bigger than my pinky in my ass, like no.
oh, I'm not.
There's no. There's
Yeah, no. That's an exit only hole for me. You all right?
Oh yeah, I just drew down my chin. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I was like, oops.
Liquid's going down her chin. These things happen.
Yes, I do have a very overactive salivary gland, which is kind of embarrassing actually. Like I have to remember to actively swallow, especially when I drink. I'm like, oh god, I didn't remember my faculties. I'm like, I have a very, like I said, overactive salivary gland, and it'll just like drip like water out of my mouth, and it's like, wow.
I mean, I'm sure that's good for film.
Yes. I will say I'm extremely neurodivergent. I'm very much on the TISM scale somewhere. But I think it's funny though because I think a lot of either performers and creators are very much on the scale of neurodivergence and like even possibly autism. And that's something I studied in school. I was like, and when I studied in school, I was like, that's literally me. Wow.
Do you watch Rick and Morty at all?
Yes.
Did you see the Story Lord episode from this season where Morty comes out like, creativity is often, linked with mental illness. Yeah.
Yes. That, and when I watched Midnight Gospel, have you seen Midnight Gospel yet?
I haven't.
Highly recommend because Midnight Gospel on Netflix is kind of like a psychedelic-ish, but it's like almost like a podcast. But like, imagine
I hate podcasts. I fucking hate them.
Wow, I imagined that's why you have one. But imagine a podcast, but like cartoonized.
No, those are always fun. That's awesome.
That's the vibe. I don't think it actually is a podcast, but it feels like it's like almost like a lecture, like a nice lecture, but in the form of a cartoon. And I love Midnight Gospel.
I will definitely check it out.
You should. I highly recommend it if you haven't yet.
I
Plug for Netflix. Sponsor everyone. Sponsor us.
Right? I would like some money, please.
Please. I see your billboard every day in WeHo. It changes.
I know. Fucking bastards.
I was like, wow. It is such a trippy now in LA though. It's like, wow, it's like all like even out here in Hollywood neighborhoods, it's like you would think the studios are like in a different area, but it's like no, it's just like plopped in the middle of the neighborhood. It's like boom, here are the production studios. It's like wow, there's like a small little gate around them, but nothing crazy. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, wait till they're here during award season because it's like for your consideration signs everywhere. Like, because
you can vote for them.
Well, so like the Oscars, the Emmys, all that shit is all voted on by a committee, like by the members of the Academy.
Right.
So there's for your consideration signs everywhere, like shit that you like haven't thought about in a year, like for your consideration, and like up and down.
Came out a year ago.
Yeah, up and down Sunset, up and down Hollywood Boulevard. There's billboards like sign of buildings.
Binged in one day.
Yeah, that you haven't thought about it a year ago, like for your consideration, and it's literally because executives are driving that route to the studios and shit like that.
Oh wow.
Like sometimes there are legitimately billboards up on Sunset that are there to target one executive that drives that route, just so they can know that like
it feels like Mars being out here. It's like what the fuck? Like I'm used to mountains and sand or whatever the fuck I like sand in North Carolina, mountains in Colorado, and it's like out here it's like hills and billboards and Netflix. I'm like wow, it's like a different country. It's like a different country out here.
It is
kind of crazy.
It takes a little getting used to. I love it here. There's nowhere else in the country I would rather live.
I used to hate LA.
Why?
I think because like back then I was like no one knew who I was. So people would cancel on me for like collabs and all that.
And they do it anyways now that they know who you are. So
Yeah, it's no different, but like monetarily, financially, I can afford it. I can afford a cancellation. I'm like, whatever. Like, oh.
yeah, no, I totally get it when
Now
like,
people cancel for like legitimately like, oh, like their dad died. I'm like, oh my god, are you okay? Like, do you need money? Like, are you okay?
oh no, that's definitely not a reason to cancel. He ain't getting any deader. The funeral's not today.
Oh my god.
Come get laid.
Please.
You'll feel better.
Let me eat your pussy.
Right?
Promise.
Promise you'll forget all about daddy.
Yes, what daddy problems? So you'll have mommy problems after this. Don't call me mommy though.
Right. It's about shit going in, not coming out.
Exactly. Quite literally. Shit going in.
But you were saying, like, now that you can afford it, you're feeling it more?
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like I can afford to be out here on a more like regular basis versus coming out, visiting here, spending just so much money. I'm like, it's expensive being out here.
Oh, I know.
And you're relying on like, okay, you're booking up every single day, and sometimes you're booking out 2 scenes a day to make sure, because like, you're assuming one person's gonna cancel, and when they don't cancel, it's like, okay, now I'm shooting like 4 scenes a day. Because if I like book a scene or book a girl, for the most part, it's a girl. So like shooting 4 girl scenes in a day, not so bad. But if you're if you're shooting with another guy, if there's even if a strap on involved, I'm like, oof, this is rough.
It's a hard job.
Quite literally. Quite literally, man.
Well, I'm glad that you're finally getting to enjoy it because honestly, especially once you're here for good,
Yeah.
you'll really get to enjoy what LA is really about, which is, besides on the professional front, like the entertainment options to consume are second to none.
That and the community, because I think I didn't quite have a community out here until literally quite literally until AVN. AVN, I met some of my best friends, Naked Bakers and Austin Films. They're I don't know if you know like Naked News.
Yeah, I know.
You know, Naked News. They're good friends with them. But that's kind of like their energy is like casual nudity. They don't quite do porn, but they're getting inspired by like me and like a lot of my friends that do like porn. So it's like this intersection of casual nudity intersecting with full-on XXX porn. And they live out in the valley, and we love them. And like since me and them, we kind of found a little circle of friends. And I think it was just a matter of meeting those people that solidified us with wanting to be out in LA more often. Because otherwise, if you don't know anybody, it's like, it's very intimidating. Like, I was being groomed a year ago. Not groomed, but like, I met like a Saudi prince like a year ago when I was here. And he was like trying to whisk me away. I'm like, I don't know about this.
Well, and the thing about it is like,
what's up with that in LA? The Saudi princes.
even if you do know people here, like, as one of my friends told me when I first moved here, it's like, it takes 5 years to find your tribe in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
So it can be an interesting place. Like, because I knew people before I moved here. I had a bunch of friends here. It's over I've been here 10 years or so.
Yeah.
Like, I've had falling outs with a lot of friends.
Fair.
A lot of friends have left the industry and like have just cut ties with anyone they knew from the industry.
Yeah.
Fair
enough to each their own.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, no harm, no foul. Like, let's go live your life. I've had other friends, so it's like, we're still friends, but between all of our various production schedules, what we're doing, we just never fucking see each other. Like, I went out to a taco truck in East LA with a buddy of mine I haven't seen in 3 years last night.
Wow.
Like, there was no falling out or anything like that. It's just like pandemic. We both mostly work from home, and like he moved to the west side, and it's just like, oh well, we live on the west side now, and we both
you might as well be in a different state.
Oh yeah, no, I mean that is the long-standing joke. Like, if I meet a girl on the west side, I'm effectively in a long-distance relationship.
Literally, oh my god. So I used to fuck this dude when I lived in Seattle when I was in that cult. This one dude, Todd, I love you. He was like, who got me like big into kink, but he was so nice. When I lived in Seattle, and I think he lives out in LA somewhere here. I actually haven't seen him yet, but he told me like he lives like way like South LA somewhere, I think, and it's like, oh, like you're in Wheat Hill, like that's so far. Like I don't date anyone outside of a 5-mile radius. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's LA.
That's very. I'm like, that seems so LA. Like.
Oh yeah, no.
Like you're more than a 30-minute drive. Like.
Oh no.
Not for me. I'm like, what the fuck?
From here to WeHo.
For like 10 years. What the fuck?
From here to WeHo can be 30 minutes at the wrong time of day.
Right.
It's like, oh, hey, occasionally, I'll date performers, and it's like, oh, you live in the Valley? Unless you feel like coming down to Hollywood, this isn't going to work.
I love this area though.
But yeah.
It's a cool area.
Yeah, fuck living in the suburbs.
Yeah.
The Valley's fucking suburbs.
I love the suburbs.
Well, that's on you.
I want a garage. I want a driveway.
I hate to break it to you. You make enough money, you can afford one of those on this side of the hill.
On the side of the hill?
On this side of the hill.
Really?
Well, you figure...
I'll tell my agent. I have a real estate agent like looking for me. I found one today. I'm like, thank God. Someone please help me.
Yeah, if this one doesn't work out, I can recommend somebody too.
Good. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you can get a pretty decent home for $3-4 million, and well, that's in your bracket. Then
I'm cheap though, Matt. Like, I will always be a TJ Maxx girly.
it's an investment,
I know.
right? Like that's not going to.
Taxes out here suck.
Well, yeah, but it's better than fucking paying rent, and that could just skyrocket on you.
Right, for sure.
Like, yes, you could.
We might trial it with rent for a while and just see, like, do we like the area?
Yeah, no, find your neighborhood, because that's the thing. The beautiful part about LA is
I
like,
love Joshua Tree. Joshua Tree is where my heart is at. Have you been out there?
I have not.
So many people I meet that live in LA have been here for like a decade or more, have never been out to Joshua Tree. Have you been to Palm Springs at least?
Yeah, to work.
Oh my God.
Well, let me put it this way:
Sheltered. Just kidding.
the amount of times I've gone to the West Side to have a beach day in 10 years is probably less than 10 times.
Really?
Yeah, like it's just like.
I got to the desert. The desert's so fucking cool.
It's one of those things where like I work all the time unless there is something like a paying gig or a real reason that like
Okay, next time I throw events every month.
okay,
Next time I have one, I will invite you. I will literally pay you to come out and just hang out. I'm like, please,
okay,
come hang out.
okay, I can't
hang.
I can't say no to that.
Or like shoot like BTS for like some of us.
Okay, I can do that too.
On your iPhone, on your like a phone. That's fine too.
I mean, I own a fucking cinematic camera,
Exactly. So that too. We
and
did that.
I own
We shot like a BG swap orgy kind of thing. Where like it was like a BG, a boy girl orgy with like it was like BG orgy with 2 unicorns, and we had 2 like floater girls that were like single that were kind of like would float to every guy.
Nice
Couple, and that was so fun. And we had a 3rd person shoot. I'm like, it would have been so much better with like a nice camera.
Yeah, no,
You know?
I have a Sony FX30.
Excellent. Oh, well, I'm a Sony shooter too.
Yeah, well,
Love that. I saw that. I was like,
yeah, like
I have that one in black. The ZV1.
The E10.
Very similar, I think.
The one just came out.
ZV1.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, cool.
The one's the new full frame.
Oh, wait.
Okay, let's not geek out about Sony cameras.
No, like no one gives a fuck about this shit.
I'm
such a gearhead about like.
No, we can hang and talk after this because we've actually been going almost 2.5 hours already.
Holy shit!
So like, I'm happy to.
Sorry.
Don't apologize.
Anyways, porn titties. I'm like, I feel like you would have told me by now if my titties fell out of my.
No, why would I tell you that?
Like, let it happen.
Yeah.
You just censor it.
Oh no, I would for the YouTube version. My Patreon, like the uncensored titties out version, goes on Patreon, and then I censor them.
The titties out version?
Yeah, you can bully.
What?
Yeah.
Titties. Oh my god! If you're watching, there's titties, so you should subscribe to
Matt's Patreon.
Patreon.
Yep.
Yes.
And I just censor them for YouTube.
There's titties. I know. So yeah, my whole vibe is like corsets in. Right now, I'm in my corsets, and sweatpants era because I feel like it's just so chill. It goes well together. It's like, hey, you know, it's like comfy, cool.
As long as you're comfortable, that's all that fucking matters.
Yeah, my waist is uncomfortable, but I can let my belly relax below.
Hell yeah. Okay. We're gonna call last call. We're gonna get you off camera so I don't have to do more post work. You're more than welcome to hang out. We'll geek out about gear shit, but we'll just do it off camera.
Matt, it's been such an amazing time. Thank you so much for having me. Sorry, I'm so chatty.
No, oh my god, being chatty on a podcast.
I've had such a blast.
Awesome. Then we will definitely have you on again. Don't worry. And especially if you're gonna bribe me to come do BTS shit, I will. We will be in contact.
I will.
But before we get you out of here, where can they find you on the things?
Yes, go to camistrella.com. That's CAMISTRELLA.com. You'll find all my socials, my Twitter, which has a lot of free porn, and my OnlyFans and everything. So, which is very cheap. So, buy me there.
Hell yeah. And we'll have Cami on again for sure. Or look for my feet in some BTS. I don't know.
Possibly, yes. We'll paint your toes.
Oh, good. I have ugly feet. And as always, you can find me at Matt_Slayer on Twitter, Matt Slayer on Instagram, Matt F. Slayer on Facebook, twitch.tv/Matt F. Slayer. You can find the Patreon with Cami Stitz at patreon.com/Matt Slayer. And you can find the podcast at And Now We Drink on Twitter, and Now We Drink _ on Instagram. And until next week, drink up, motherfuckers.